What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to A Little Dicey D&D. My name is Salvador Sabraka. I am your Dungeon Master here in Forevermore until I take a fatal bite of an unnamed protein bar and die, not from choking, but because of how absolutely disgusting it is. I'm not going to name any names, but the one protein bar, coconut flavored almond, whatever.
That
one protein bar that is coconut and almond flavored.
I have the poison condition right now.
It's fucking disgusting. It almost killed Matt and I. But we're here.
Definite psychic damage to
Oh,
Matt.
truly. But we're here, baby. We're episode 29. We're back on the Great Naledian Crown. Thank you so much for joining us these past couple of weeks for Matt's one-shot. I know probably just like you, I had an incredible time watching. It was really well done. But yeah, now we're back to our regularly scheduled programming, and I am very excited to sort of officially announce, you won't see her here this week, but our guest that joined us on Matt's One Shot, Hannah, will be joining us for the main campaign as well. So hopefully you'll be seeing her next week when she jumps in. But for now, we just have our sweet, handsome, beautiful men. Michaela, why don't you show the people, what we got going on? So you might notice that
Show the merchandise.
Show the merchandise. The overlay is a little bit different than it was the past couple of weeks. That is because we changed a couple things. I am now a little bigger, filling up the screen to satiate my ego.
Are you a little bigger again, or did we just finally implement it?
So I made myself a little bigger maybe like 4 weeks ago, and then Jenna had to step away, and then I forgot to repay the Photoshop monthly thing. So then we lost Photoshop for a minute. So then I just said fuck it and just use the other one with just the and but now I've paid for Photoshop again, and so now I've re-photoshopped just the three of you guys.
Nice. Please subscribe. We got to keep paying for
please.
Photoshop.
So so hopefully I'm not.
Music's playing also.
What's that?
Your workout music is playing?
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Oh shit, he's gonna get pissed.
Oh, I'm gonna get mad. I accidentally put one of my my lifting songs in the Dicey playlist, so if you hear a little bit of Behemoth going on, don't be alarmed, everybody.
Is it royalty free?
God knows.
Oh, we're fucked.
It's fucking Behemoth. So that's black metal, baby. I listen to black metal when I work out because I have demons inside me.
I listen to the Black Mages when I work out sometimes.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's very fun.
Yeah.
How are your demons doing?
Same.
Good.
I listen to podcasts when I work out. That's
good for you guys.
a lot of my brother and me.
Yeah, that's nice.
Hell yeah,
I need to get real mad. Anyways, so Garrett, you want to tell us about what we got?
Sal and I have the darkness.
I have the darkness inside.
Yeah, so we got social media and stuff. It's going to be linked in the chat right now, thanks to our lovely, glorious Mika. We got our YouTube, which has all our VODs, all our podcasts, any extra stuff. That pretty much goes on there. We've got our TikTok, which is full of fun little clips, some of which are edited by Mika, some by Sal. I think a few of mine are on there. We got our Instagram, which is me, baby.
That's right, baby.
And the the Twitch. The Twitter.
Whoa.
So many
Christ.
social medias start with T. Twitter's also me fucking around. I recently posted a tweet that was an apology.
Jesus Christ.
Submitted a tweet on Twitter.
Please watch this on
My
2x
delivery is
speed.
like an alien today. I cannot explain it. Anyway, I recently tweeted a picture, a spicy picture of Kaz and Kill as an apology for some of the canceled shows this week. This kid, I didn't post that picture. It's just a pic. It just has like the camera with the X in it. It's a little fake out for you. So you think it's loading or like it didn't load.
That's solid.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
was hoping it was.
I was too.
Yeah.
if I could draw, I would draw all of our characters fucking, don't you worry.
That'd be nice.
And Sal, you'd just be watching.
I did start from the very beginning of this podcast or of this show. I believe I requested Rule 34 porn. So
Yeah.
Can anyone
please just draw our characters
I
fucking?
would like that very much.
I want it to be absolutely tasteless.
Also,
Yeah, gross smut.
also I would like a link to Badron's dating profile.
Yeah.
I'd really like that.
Call me. Pedro?
Yeah.
Probably later on. Call me by your baby.
Anyway, it's also an interactive live stream. All of the stuff that we didn't allow you to use last week has been re-implemented. Remember, there's two ways that you can get some of the stuff that we do. You can do it through Twitch itself, or you can use Stream Elements. Either it's going to be at the bottom of your little chat box there, or you have to type in !redeem, !store to see what we got, etc., etc. But you can do all sorts of fun stuff. You can encourage us to drink.
Yeah, you can encourage it.
You can encourage it.
Which, by the way, Garrett, what is the lovely potion that you created for us?
So it's called
week? Hold it up for the people. Or I'll do it too.
Boulevard d'Hier. It
for my
is
white face.
extremely boozy, actually, because it's whiskey, Campari, and a sweet red vermouth.
Those are all alcohol.
Yep, those are all alcohol.
You could light this on fire.
You could.
This is rough.
If you get a DM chugs, please don't use that. You can also do.
It's very good. Oh.
I think it being in the middle of those what got me.
Yeah.
You can also really affect the game more by giving us temporary HP. You can make Sal roll with disadvantage.
No.
And thank you. The one time you actually went with it.
It's been a while.
Does that mean the VOD's gonna get taken? Whatever. Anyway, that's all the interactive
Yeah,
stuff
sing a
we
couple
got.
bars, I think.
Let's go to Matt here with all his shit.
Yeah, all my
what's the
shit. Should I deliver it as awkward as Garrett did?
It's raining sideways.
So we
I'm pretty.
there's like a
I don't know if we.
there's a Discord, and you can
Oh my god.
be there and post,
That just reminded me of when
or
what's
not.
his name? Theo Vaughn one time he said something about when he was younger he would try to make some of his friends laugh, and he was friends with a few folk on the spectrum, and he would make them laugh so hard and like encourage them to like drink milk when they were doing it, so that they would blow milk out of their nose. And he said something akin to, once you get a couple sawed-off humans spewing milk out of their nose, you know that you made a rat, brother. And I was like, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard anyone say.
No.
Very sweet. Anyway, get out of Discord.
Yeah, Discord is where we give you blue balls by saying we're gonna do something and then we cancel it at the last minute. So if you want a part of that,
Word.
get there.
We know you're kinky fucks out
yeah.
there. Yeah, we know you like it.
Yeah.
We know you like it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
And be sure to check out our friends at superokpodcast.com.
They just had their 100th episode of their podcast, by the way.
Yeah,
Very
they all
cool.
talked about their favorite games.
Yes, very fun. You should definitely check that out. They're doing some really cool stuff over there, and they all have really good insight about video games and the like.
Man, I wonder what their favorite games are.
That's fine. We should listen to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, our friend of the show, Aaron, can be found on Twitch at Little Bogwitch, and our moderator, Michaela, can be found on Twitch at Hello Diddy.
Fuck yeah.
Why do we give Jamie the least to do, but he's the most professional?
I know. Jamie's like really good at what he does.
Yeah.
And we're over here like, no, especially you, Garrett.
Excuse
No,
me.
especially you.
I've come in with characters.
Matt clearly just like he nailed it, like just, you know what I mean? But you were just all going like crazy, obviously. Everyone heard what Matt said.
Yeah.
I quit. I'll be in my trailer.
The joke is Matt didn't try.
Yeah.
I'd like phone it in for 500, please.
Wow.
I'm voting in for 500.
Too real. Too real.
500, baby.
Too real.
All right, y'all. Do we want to play some D&D? It's been a
God,
fucking minute now. All right, so before we jump in, if you have not been keeping up with the past few episodes of The Great Naledian Crown, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, I don't blame you because we haven't had well, actually, no. A week ago, we had a proper reroll episode about the whole arc. So, like I said, I would love for you guys to check out Reroll our Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. on this channel. We do that regularly. We try to. But next week, we're going to have a reroll going on for sure. I will be there to answer any questions about what you might see here on this episode 29. So without further ado, I'm going to be jumping in to tonight's episode of Little Dicey, The Great Naledian Crown.
Nice.
So, when last we met, our intrepid group of adventurers known as the Bared Souls had recently completed their excursion into the province of the Blackweld in the southwestern portion of the kingdom of Naledian in the realm of Petrichor, after having defeated and quelled the oddities of the island of Moor, finally sailing over to the mainland of Naledian. Here in the province of the Blackweld, you met many different folk. A young man named Rennie, who you swore to help protect and save his dilapidated town, and his imprisoned falsely brother, Marcroft. In addition to that, you had met the dastardly and terrible visage of one Eric Stant, who eventually made himself known once again under the right hand of the Five of Hells. This demon-like, devil-like person who revealed themselves to you not long ago. Here in the province of the Blackweld, you eventually arrived at the town of ABERL-ARC, wrongfully ruled over with the iron fist of Lord Ilan Thorn, a falsely presenting lord here of the province of the Blackweld under the apparent blessing of the king of Naledian, King Eodrin. Here you fought against his regime at the defense of young Rennie, this orphaned, squalid young boy who had been on the run from this hometown of ABERL-ARC, in which, like I said, his older brother Marcroft, the rightful sovereign of the town, has been falsely imprisoned by Lord Ilan Thorn. While here, you met with many of the higher-ups of the town and many of the poor unfortunates that try their best to survive under the horrible conditions here in town, while they are unable to leave or even send word out to anyone who could possibly aid them. You fought against this tyranny valiantly and with great effort, and in doing so finally rid this town and its people of this horrid rule over their shoulders, this overbearing yoke that they are burdened with. Now finally freed, the people have celebrated you, and their leaders now look to you in reverence for what you've done. At the moment, you find yourselves at a point of stillness. You've accomplished what you came here to do, and now you look around and are able to, for lack of a better term, reap what you've sown. You can find out the answers to some of these questions that you've been having based on your time here. Try your best to uncover the hidden clues that might still be left around by those who used to rule in this town here. And furthermore, you look to the future. Another 10 days a week here in the realm of Petrichor, in the kingdom of Naledian. A great meeting of many of the lords around under King Eodrin will be taking place at the capital, Crun Bael, not too far from here. And so, here in this sort of little bit of downtime, I don't know why the music keeps stopping. My apologies, everybody. What's that?
The stream hasn't.
Stream hasn't stopped. That's wonderful. But my own.
I thought you said stream was down.
Oh no! I was like, oh man, I've been talking for nothing. No, my Spotify did this when I was working out earlier today, so it might just be my weird phone going on. Anyways, you find yourselves with a little bit of downtime before this this sacred meeting of these lords of the lands, of which you were encouraged to attend by Autolycus, one of the more well-respected members of the town of ABERL-ARC. He is the sort of de facto smithy. He was the one that helped arm the citizens in the insurrection against the tyrants that you helped lead and overthrow. And at the encouragement of Marcroft, the now reinstated sovereign of this land, you are heavily encouraged to attend this this meeting alongside Autolycus in order to provide proof of what happened here, a first-hand account of what has been going on in ABERL-ARC, and hopefully to secure some sort of aid from the crown if you can, or to at the very least uncover the truth behind how it was that Lord Illenthorn was seated here. Excuse me, but however, until then, you do have 10 days. That's how long a week is in my world. Here in the sort of intrepid, dilapidated town of ABERL-ARC to do as you will up until the meeting, which will take a little bit of a ways to get to Croonbale, but you will be provided with horses, a method of transportation in order to get there, and a little bit of some other more capable members of the town of ABERL-ARC that can help escort you there, along with Autolycus, to the capital of Croonbale. So, for the first few days that you are able to sort of just settle down and get your bearings here, we can talk a little about what it is that your characters do. So, with that being said, Michaela, why don't you take us to the full screen?
Yes. I was gonna wait to see which character.
Oh, you're all good. You're all good. So, first and foremost, Indigo. In these 10 days leading up to this new excursion to the capital of Naledian, there are a few things that Indigo is interested in pursuing. Why don't you tell me a little bit about some of these things?
Sure. So I think probably the first thing on his mind is to. One of the biggest priorities is to help excavate the mine.
Okay.
But I imagine that will require some help from others. So maybe in the period leading up to that, he would try to get somewhere, probably go somewhere alone, and basically try to make contact with Black Tongue.
Okay.
Which let's see how that works. I have my familiar. Maybe try to talk to the familiar. Be like, "Hey, Black Tongue, are you in there?"
Sure. Excuse me. So, you find a space not too far away from the town proper, but sort of secluded in the Evergrey Woods. There's a little bit of a clearing not too far away from it where you spent a little bit of time staking out when you guys were trying to figure out the best way to get back into the town. As you sort of sat there alongside the treescape, you took some time to commune with your gifted familiar at the hands of course, Black Tongue, this black rat that seems to follow your every command. And as you sit and sort of try to make yourself as comfortable as you can here in the edge of the forest, not unfamiliar to you here in this woodlands, you sit, you take a little sip of your wine out of your chalice, and the rat sort of sits and watches you. And you begin to try to tap into this innate connection that you and this familiar have. And you begin to feel that presence once more inside you. A presence that you hadn't necessarily felt too intensely since slaying or being a part of the defeat of Lord Illenthorn. But as you begin to focus on the familiar in front of you, you begin to feel that odd darkness within you begin to manifest. And as you fully begin to connect with the familiar, you see the rat just sort of twitch for a moment, and then it's almost as if, for lack of a better phrase, the rat gains a semblance of sentience immediately before your eyes. It becomes self-aware for a moment. And it sniffs around, looks about, turns behind itself.
Hi, Gores. I assume it's you.
The rat smiles.
Yes. It is lovely to see you face to face.
I'm sure it is. So I just wanted to sort of check in about our sort of deal that we established. So we do have a name for the person you wanted to know more about. They're called the Five of Hells. Don't suppose that means anything to you.
The Five of Hells. Interesting nomenclature. This is good. There is great power in a name. You will take good care to heed that knowledge, Satyr, all creatures of the Fae have a true name. It is said, should one come about this knowledge, one could influence another quite intensely.
Interesting. I guess sort of the larger sort of point I wanted to inquire about is so we have our sort of arrangement, you and I. At what point would you consider that fulfilled in terms of not having to hang out in my body anymore?
You've done well. Your tenacity and your will has been most impressive, especially because for some time I thought you were the least willful of your bunch, but the most delectable in terms of power.
Thank you.
Our contract has been fulfilled. You can rest assured I will honor my part of the deal. You've given me a place to start.
Cool. All right then. Are we all done here then? Are we all good?
Tell me. There are things that you hope to discover, not only about the world, but about yourself, are there not?
That is true.
I am what you may call a seeker. One who finds. I'm always looking for something. When I find what I'm looking for, it's difficult to continue to be satisfied. I can help you seek what it is you desire. So, if you are so inclined, I am always willing to write up a more intimate pact.
Yes, super cool. I'll keep that in mind, but I don't think I'll be requiring your services right away. Thank you very much.
We shall see. Indigo.
Right. Well, how do I hang this up? Do I just sort of press the? Are we turn you off?
I will take care of.
Okay.
And the mouse, the rat, goes back to its rat self.
Okay.
You seem to retain this familiar connection, however, with the rat.
Rat, you're cool. Your boss is kind of.
He's just sort of like, oh, rat, you know what I mean? Does his little rat thing.
Yeah.
So in addition to that little conversation, you go about attempting to at least set into motion the re-excavation of the iron mines. In addition to you, your companion Kill is also interested in doing something like this. At some point, you meet with Marcroft to discuss the possibility of doing this. In this discussion, it becomes rather obvious that he is willing and interested in doing this as well. Marcroft is very interested in getting to the bottom of what exactly was so important about what was going on in there. However, you all sort of quickly come to the realization after you sort of begin to meet up outside the iron mines in order to try to like figure out how best you can do this. Kill has a couple wonderful ideas about using the boom shrooms to try to sort of just blast your ways in. You sort of quickly come to the realization with the aid of some of the other folk that have excavated in the mines and have a better understanding of the topography and structure and things of that nature, that the destruction of the mines and the caving in of the entrance and all these things at the hands of the tremors that Ilan has created, it would take a very long time in order to safely get back into the mines in this matter. Using the reagents that Kill has been able to slowly but surely excavate out of the stone home, seems, at least they've warned you that doing so seems a bit too dangerous at this point, especially with trying to rebuild the town, because of the unknown factor of how unstable these parts of the Tempest Peaks are because of the tremors. Using the boom shrooms to continue to cause, additional quaking and really compromise any internal structure that there might be because of the landfalls might prove to be a little bit too dangerous, especially with the proximity to where the town is. However, with your encouragement, Marcroft has set into motion a few different methods of at least beginning to try to re-excavate the iron mines. He heavily encourages you to bring this up during the Lord's Round meeting, to try to secure maybe even funding for this venture, which would always hasten the process. So those are what you get for those two bits of order. Yes. So in addition to that, you said you previously stated that you wanted to spend some time at the Grappled Thigh as well.
Yeah. Well, I forget. I'm actually pulling up my Discord too, just to see what else I sent you. I don't remember.
I have it all actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Grapple Thigh was more just kind of like whatever free time I have.
Okay.
Other than like the more, that's like the kind of the bottom of my priority list.
Okay.
Any other extra time I have, which is kind of we spent like socializing and kind of making the place a bit livelier.
Sounds good. A couple of the other things occur after the meeting, I think, as far as I've seen. Okay. So then I will, actually, for the sake of brevity, you do spend a lot of your free time at the Grappled Thigh, and you are a source of relief for a lot of these people here in town. The hardest work has still yet to begin for a lot of them. This rebuilding process takes its toll on a lot of people's mental states, and they really look forward to the nights when you are present at the Grappled Thigh. The performances that you put on, just by virtue of your presence alone, livens people's spirits, and many times are they roused back into a state of exuberance and excitement about their future. Your presence also brings along Mary and Harry, who, while they're very busy trying to set into motion the more bureaucratic ends of things, starting from basically nothing, building the ground back up as best they can, they always come around when they know that you're going to be doing something of extravagance at the Grappled Thigh. And the people are better off for it. So after your time that you spend there, and at some point during the process, you find that you become more confident with your abilities to perform and to interact with others even further. So you can actually add a +1 to your performance skill for the duration.
Oh yeah.
Just for forever.
Like permanently?
Yep, you get
For
plus
the
1 to your-
duration of forever.
the duration
Of
forever.
the campaign.
Yes, you get plus 1 in your for your performance skill,
Okay, cool.
which is wonderful.
Very cool.
Excuse me, Kaz. Why don't you let me know some of the things that you are interested in doing?
I would say the first thing I'm interested in doing is completely avoiding Markroft.
Sure. Understandable.
Terrified of that.
For sure. Markroft is very busy, like I said, with sort of trying to get this town back up and running. As far as you can tell, he seems to, not in the sense of not pay you mind, as in like you don't mean anything to him. He's very busy, so it's very easy to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank God.
Yeah.
I would say the other thing I'm trying to do is I'll probably go restock my arrows since I used all of them.
Sure. At some point, you sort of fish around for the opportunity to purchase or collect or just in any way regain any sort of amount of ammunition that you would like to use for your bow, and eventually through you meet with them every once in a while because you have to discuss how you're going to be getting to Cronbale and
Right.
all these different things, but you meet with Autolycus. And he seems to be in the process of working on a few new things in order to not only build up the town, but in his own sort of personal repertoire. And you converse with him about the possibility of, if there's a local Fletcher or anything. And he is actually, he brings up that he's in the process of creating a few different things, not only for the town, but for you folk as well. And he, over time, over the course of this week, in addition to his usual things, he actually makes you 100 arrows.
Shit. Alright.
These arrows are very, very well crafted. So you should be able to look in your inventory on D&D Beyond. They add +1 to your damage rolls that when you use them for this attack. They don't add +1 to hit. They're not magical. They just are extra sharp and well made. So, yeehaw. I don't know if D&D Beyond, for whatever reason, doesn't let you make custom ammunition.
Basically, what I actually went in and I made it so that
cool.
my bow has a +1 to damage.
Oh,
That's all.
Perfect.
So
Okay,
it's,
great.
pretty
Good stuff. And then I think in the custom notes for the Autolycus arrow, it says count 100.
Yeah.
So you can keep track of it that way too. For whatever reason, it doesn't let you make ammunition, even though you can look up magic ammunition.
Yeah.
Like there are +1 arrows. Weird. So yeah. That is not easily done, but it is done. So yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. On the trip to the meeting, you want to do some other stuff too? Okay, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that I had was see the alchemist and check on the mines, which has already been covered.
Yes. So you, in addition to the rest of them, come to the same conclusion. Everything. Cool.
There was one other thing I wanted to do,
Yes.
which was investigate the manor.
Yes.
For any other clues that might be in there.
Yes. Right. Perfect. So, let's get to kill, and then because I think everybody has mentioned that they were willing to be a part of that at some point. So, kill. Why don't you talk about some of the stuff that you want to do?
Sure. Yeah. Aside from the manor, which I'll hold off for now, the biggest thing up front is I wanted to talk to Markroft about the stone home. Basically imploring him to deal with the remaining prisoners one way or another, and then making Stonehome basically exist as a habitat for the fire fungus instead of holding humanoids.
Yes. You take some time to meet with Markroft whenever he's free, and he completely agrees with you in the sense that he thinks that the stone home should be repurposed for a more noble cause. And in doing so, it is discovered that a handful of the prisoners in the stone home, at least the more recent ones, the ones who were put in there before Markroft, were also really wrongfully imprisoned. So a lot of them are, or all of them are set free. There was some more annoyed discussion about the situation with the Butcher of the Black World, but
You can't make an omelet without cracking two eggs.
that's his life. But a couple, Harry has been working on drawing up official bounties once again for the butcher, and has been trying their best to try to make contact with some of the neighboring townsfolk and everything, just to sort of get the word out and all that. So that is being taken care of. In accordance with repurposing the stone home, Finrala actually suggests that turning it more into a more what's the word I'm looking for? Diverse nursery, essentially, for funguses and other more hard to grow flora that she might have access to.
Hell yeah.
And you definitely are interested in aiding her in that matter.
Yeah.
Yes, Michaela?
Two things.
Two things.
One, party drink.
Party drinks.
Nice.
And two, we got rated with 9 viewers from
Oh,
Bumble
yo!
D&D friends.
Thanks,
and
y'all.
Discord as well.
Hell yeah. Well, this one's for you guys.
Yeah,
thanks for joining us.
for coming back.
Delicious. Very good.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Oh my god, it's just dry and there's a little bit of like spice.
It actually tastes really good though.
Like
It's not even that dry. It's just bitter from the Negroni.
Yeah.
Or not from the Negroni, from the Campari.
from the
Fuck you.
He literally said earlier, he's like, I just don't want to say that on. I'm like, that's so funny.
I know it's nothing.
Good joke. Good banter.
Cancel me immediately.
Oh, I can't speak Italian now? Okay. Yeah. All right. So, in addition to repurposing the stone home into more of a more interesting nursery, Finrala spends a lot of time in the Everglades as well. When she cannot be found at the stone home, she's usually in the neighboring woods, becoming reattuned to the surrounding lands. Kill, you, yes, Michaela?
DM Chugs.
DM Chugs from who?
Eric.
Ah, you son of a bitch.
Get it.
All right, hold on, Eric. Let me just breathe through this.
Do you want to do that one or do you want to do a new one?
DM Chug says I have to finish my drink.
It does.
Okay,
It does.
specifically in case of emergency. But that doesn't mean. Well, actually, no. I think that you can only redeem it. I don't remember. Here I go. Yep.
Is a boozy drink.
Thanks, Eric.
Delish.
I love you, buddy. He's getting married soon. Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway.
Rip in pieces. Okay, so, but Kill, you actually over time find out quite a bit about Finrala. She seems to have been. She's very old, first and foremost.
But looks great.
She looks amazing.
Yeah.
She is a. She is an elf of the. She refers to it as the old dynasty. She remembers the time when Woad would walk the forest with his own kin. You don't necessarily know what that means, and she doesn't necessarily expand on that. But you do know of Tira Woad because of what you discovered in the mines. You do know that name is a sovereign of the elven histories or whatever. But she said something about she must be old enough to remember whatever time it was when this person ruled whatever portion of the what was previously known as the Ten Lands. This was before your time.
Sure.
But yeah, she when she reflects on these things, it's very much like she sort of becomes lost in these thoughts sometimes.
Is she able to, maybe you're about to get to this, but does she, I would, at the mention of Woad and the Tiras, I would mention the crypt that we found in the mines, sort of hidden. Is she able to sort of make sense of that?
Yes. So she explains, still in vaguish terms. She it's very clear speaking about, like, you really only catch her speaking of these things when she's sort of lost in the process of curating what is now this sort of new, and it's also unnamed. So she encourages you to think of a name for the new stone home.
Oh, hell yeah.
But when she's curating the stone home, she's sort of lost in the gardening aspects of this whole thing. is when she sort of fondly remembers these this sort of, it's almost like a past life she lived. She's very, very old.
For an elf, that's like nearly a millennium.
It's
Christ.
when she speaks about these things, it's like she's recalling a dream. It's very interesting to hear her talk about these things. So when she refers to the crypts, when you bring these things up, it's still very vague. When she catches herself saying maybe a little bit more, not than she should, but then she just would rather not, perhaps. She quickly changes subjects. However, what she does tell you, or at least what you glean, is that the crypts are first and foremost sacred to her culture. Secondly, she's not angry by any means that you or someone would stumble upon them. She's more surprised in a way, or at least she hasn't like thought about those things in a long, long time. So she's surprised that someone would even like, I guess, know about them, for lack of any other explanation of that. Go ahead and just give me an insight check.
Sure. 23.
23. Yeah, she seems to be more, she's, I mean, not like upset by any means, really, even at all. Even when you tell her that, like, you know, more details about sort of what happened there, you don't get any sense of like anger or, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Something more on the lines of like a zealous, you know, fury about like maybe someone desecrating the situation that you might have expected. Maybe you didn't. But they don't, while they are sacred to elven culture, she does not necessarily seem too aghast at it.
Do I think that's because while this person is an elf, they're maybe more aligned? In other words, they're like more a druid than they are an elf? Or do I get the sense that it's, you know, just like, well, you made a mistake, no big deal?
No, it's definitely the former.
Okay.
Her priorities, at least now in her point in life, for whatever reason, for whatever she's experienced or knows or doesn't know, her priorities lie in what she seems to recognize as the more important things around her, which is the life immediately that she cares for.
Yeah.
In addition to that, she seems to refer to the crypts more like a lost sort of part of history, if that makes any sense, as far as you can like glean. She talks about them like your elders would talk to you as a child about, not like she talks to you as a child, but
Sure.
in the same vein that the elders spoke about all these fables that, you know, some of them might have like, you know, well-meaning messages. Some of them might just straight up be true, that just work well as a story. But they always had this storytelling aspect to them when they would explain them, to give you a wide sense of this wanderlust that all portals seem to experience. And she seems to refer to them in that same vein. There's a sense of dream-like, not reverence, but just a sort of dream-like reference to them when she speaks about them.
Okay.
So either they're not on the forefront of her mind, which seems to be rather obvious, and or they are something that maybe at one point in time were more important than whatever they've become now.
Yeah. Cool. Hell yeah. Yeah, well, just while I'm like hanging out with her, you know, basically anything else I can learn about, you know, kind of like, well, firstly, because she obviously has a similar affinity with Flora that I have, if she has like specific things that she can, you know, basically say like, oh my God, there's an awesome place to go see, like on the map. But also, I'm curious if she knows anything about like, if there even is sort of a greater organizational structure for like druid circles, you know what I mean? Like, or if it's just like, she just does her thing and everybody just kind of does their thing.
Yeah, so she explains more or less, there is a collective sort of centralized, I don't want to use the word organization, but you know that's a fine word to use. There is a collective group of druids that essentially they're not by any means a governmental body or like even an authority on what it is to be druids, but it's more of a she explains them more like they're like sort of just, you know, a group of people who came together who are relatively powerful and serve more as a direct example of what it is to be a guardian of the more naturalistic parts of the realm.
Yeah.
And a lot of them live or exist in Ferrispur or the Maritimes. The central portion of them is in Ferrispur, which is another one of the continents, but a lot of them still exist in Naledi as well. And they're known as the Morning Blade.
The Morning Blade. Okay. Oh. Yeah. If she has anything where like, and we can address this later if you want, but if there's any, basically like if there's any pilgrimage type thing she might suggest, either because there are sort of semi-sacred sites or specific members of the Morning Blade that she thinks I should speak to.
Sure.
I'd love it if she could, you know, sort of point out those things.
So she says, as far as she recalls, it's been a long time since she's had any interaction with someone who is a part of the Morning Blade. She is not a part of that. She does her own thing. However, she recalls when she was younger that there was a very wise old orc that resided in the Ephesian Peaks, who was sort of someone that people would go to just for wisdom or just for guidance in this sort of type of, you know, for their druidic whatever ways or whatever. She does not recall his name.
Okay.
But well, Kill knows by looking at the maps. The Ephesian Peaks are the eastern coastline of Naledi, so it's a ways away. But if you were interested in seeking anybody out who is of note of the Morning Blade, this old orc, and the Ephesian Peaks are like very, they cover a lot of ground. So she specifies that when last she met with him, when last she met, he resided, he apparently had a small hut on one of the like taller mountain peaks in the sort of central spires of the Ephesian Peaks. So
cool.
Little out of the way, but you know.
Yeah, hell yeah, something aspirational. Sure. Yeah, and then while we're sort of like working on curating the babies for the new place, if there's any like, you know, particular samples of interest, I would just like to take some, either a fruited piece or some spores with me as I go.
I'm going to sort of link this together with some of the things that we want to do in terms of looting through like the estate and like other things too, because I know everybody wants to take a look at like Ibrahim's things and Ilan's things and stuff like that.
Cool.
So
yes, we can get to that later.
So first and foremost, all three of you go ahead and give me investigation checks.
Okay.
Just to start this thing off.
That is
16.
16.
17.
Nice.
I believe I have a 19.
Nice. Skip the 18. Fuck it.
Yeah, investigation. Yeah, 19.
19. Gotcha.
Fuck.
So the three of you collectively begin to suss out anything you might have missed throughout any of the Knight's Rounds estates, any of the entirety of Lord Thorn's estate, specifically Ibrahim's study as well. And you glean a handful of things. So first and foremost, Kill. Getting into some of the things that you discovered in the study of Ibrahim inside the estate of Ilan Thorn, the realm sphere in particular seems to be, as far as you can tell, you're not certain if there's any more hidden aspects to it that you have not discovered, but it does seem to be a work in progress by Ibrahim. The mass within the couple rings, as you know, the rings are magical that sort of orbit around this central sphere. This sphere, this mass in the middle of these two rings, seems to be this amorphous substance. You're not sure what it is. However, it is suspended in between these two circling rings, and it is representational of the globe of Petrichor. And
The realm sphere of Petrichor.
of course. And as you begin to interact with it further, you realize that one of the utilities of this object, you can sort of like, you begin to realize like you can mold it to the point where it shows you as detailed as possible typography, like to the point where you can like quote unquote zoom in on like an area, as long as it has already sort of been sculpted into it. There are areas that you don't get any further detail, but however many places that Ibrahim has seemed to have already done his cartography work on the sphere, you get a better view of like what it really is.
That's rad.
So it's this really cool like living globe that is seems to be in the process of being fully formed.
And I forget, is it affixed to the wall or is it just floating?
Floating.
Yeah, but if I remember right, it's not movable, right?
No. So you spend some time with it. Go ahead and give me an Arcana check.
Hey, that's pretty good. Another 19.
Another 19. 2. No. So it doesn't take you too long, probably towards the tail end of messing with this of the 10-day before you have to go. You eventually figure out that there are a few things that were incomplete about the enchantment on the rings that sort of kept them moving around and kept the malleability of the substance in between them malleable. And eventually you recruit the help of Indigo and reference a handful of like Ibrahim's notes that you've been able to find, and you're able to essentially unlock the potential of this realm sphere. So for all intents and purposes, you can mark that you have a realm sphere in your inventory. It's not necessarily in the in our D&D Beyond homebrew stuff,
Sure.
only because like it doesn't really serve a purpose beyond like being a living map.
Yeah.
As far as you can tell right
Cool.
now. You're very confident that maybe if you mess with it further and you discover more about it, there might be other utilities to it. Cool. But right now, it just seems to be sort of like a living map.
And from what I've discovered so far, I know how to zoom in and out.
You do. You also find that as the rings sort of begin to circle around once again, you have the ability to essentially micro and macro the entirety of the object to where you essentially not really attune to it, but you become familiar enough to it to where you can manipulate the structure of the rings so that the enchantment begins to shrink it so that it can be palm sized.
Oh, hell yeah.
However, you lose any sort semblance of
like fidelity.
Okay. So you have to essentially activate it to get to that sort of 5x5 by 5 volume, and then you can quote unquote deactivate it so that it can become palm sized.
Imagining like Minority Report where he's like,
Yeah, that's very cool.
It is very Minority Report, yes.
And do I have the ability to modify it at this point?
Right now, you have been unable to figure out how to do that.
Okay, no
However,
problem.
you're confident that if you spend some time with it, you can do it.
Okay, cool.
Indigo, you you spend a lot of time fishing through Thorn's personal estate, and you uncover a series of private. They're not necessarily letters because they are not. They had not been sent out, and they were not dedicated to anyone. But it's not like you don't find like a journal or a diary or anything. You just find a bunch of separate, I'm going to call them letters,
kind of series of recordings.
Yes.
Throughout his house.
Yes. Yeah. Essentially,
Series
yes.
of voice logs.
Yeah.
Nice.
That Thorn had written at some point. You make your way through all of them, and a lot of them seem to be recollections of the War of the Tens that he fought in at a very young age. He was drafted, recruited, whatever you want to call it, into the war when he was 14, along with the rest of the Knights Round. The first time he killed a man was shortly after that.
After the war?
No, shortly after he was recruited into the war. At some point, you discover that he was fairly prolific on the field, and he, at some point, was heralded as people knew him as the Reaper. At some point, this was when he was like 16.
Were these written when he was that young, or are they like I remember the day when?
You're uncertain. Okay. It's vague.
Okay.
He records the times that he met Ibrahim and Laron, all the members of the Knights Round, and there's a specific entry that you take note of that details the end of the War of the Tens. He details how they were victorious in quelling the Elven uprising, how the sovereigns were executed and all that. He expresses his disgust at King Epimeth's alleged or discovered aggression at against the already defeated elves.
That was the Human King.
That was one of the Human Kings of Alterstill.
Okay.
And one of the last things that you, or at the very least, sort of piecing together this timeline, one of the most recent things that he recorded was a he calls it the Visit, and he details an encounter with the Five of Hells. He had come to him and the other members of the Knights Round, who were not known as that at the time. They were just a band of brothers who fought in the war together, who became very close. But after the end of the war, they didn't necessarily know what to do with themselves. Their town had been essentially lost and ransacked during the final days of the war and the ensuing battles, and they had no family to go home to. They had no one but each other. They were sort of lost in this weird restructuring of the world at this point. They were lowborn, so even though they had, at least Ilan had really impressive deeds and feats in the war, they were uncertain whether or not they would have a place anywhere. And this stranger essentially approached them in the night, one night when they were all out sort of just camping in the great wilderness of the plains of Alterstill. And this person met with them, and it's very vague how this encounter went, but apparently he sort of expressed his power. There's no further detailing about that, and offered his aid in the following years of their life, and not knowing another choice that they could have made ill and accepted.
Does it specify the nature of the aid?
It's very vague.
But something involving like running the city, or
No, at this point, no. It's very much just like he offered us a hand and I took it.
okay.
And the last line sort of sparks something in you that you can't quite put a hand on, or put a finger on rather, that something about it, there's something about it that, I don't know, it doesn't strike you as odd or something, but you can't stop thinking about it. It said, from now on, we revel under the hand that guides us. And there's something about that just, you cannot stop thinking about that.
Okay.
That is what you discover about Thorn.
Hell yeah.
Kaz.
Hey.
As you begin to search through the sort of remaining belongings of the members of the Knights Round, you round up quite a nice little stash. The total amount of gold that you find throughout a bunch of things, and you're pretty certain that should you have further access a little later on, maybe in the ensuing months, you know, whether that be underhanded or not, you could probably find a little bit more.
Nice.
You find a total of 92 gold pieces, 31 silver, and 46 copper.
I'm about to break this economy.
Hell yeah, brother.
This whole town.
Flood this
About to
bitch.
crash this motherfucker.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Alrighty. Kill.
Yeah.
You spend some time trying to ascertain more information from the books that you found in Thorn's study. So, for all intents and purposes, and for the sake of brevity, you essentially, with the help of Finrala, gain quite a bit of headway in your scholastic knowledge of alchemy and herbalism and the like. So, firstly, where is it? For now and forevermore, you gain +1 in all checks related to herbalism or alchemy. So you can just add that on in any check that I tell you
Hell yeah.
to make. You also, with the help of Finrala, develop recipes for a handful of different things. So you can take a look in the alchemy pages. I've already highlighted the ones that you end up learning.
Oh, cool.
And you can also treat the boom shrooms as rare. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not curative. It's you'll know it when you see it.
Yeah, there's one that's like
Reactive, I think.
reactive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
rare reactive
reactors.
reagents, which can also serve as uncommon and common as well.
Yep. Hell yeah.
In addition to that, taking your time to harvest as much as you can or feel comfortable with, or at least Finrala will sort of aid you in doing, you harvest 10 bundles that you can sort of use. Each bundle can be used, so each bundle represents 5 reagents, but one bundle like is enough to sort of like use as a fucking, you know, explosive device.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Great. Just trying to think if there's anything else before.
I did want to propose, or I guess I'll maybe come to Kill about this, or I've had that ring that Aaron gave that we found on that Aaron dropped. Is this something we can maybe identify that'd be worth doing?
We can.
Or we could ask the alchemist maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking we could talk to the alchemist about that, and also if he knows what this scroll of object permanence does by any chance.
Sure.
He's a smart boy.
He is a smart boy. Yes. So you go about attempting to converse with the local alchemist, and after a very short time, you go to a shop, seems to be closed or whatever.
Destroyed.
You head around to try to find him, to converse with him. Can't seem to find him. You speak with Autolycus, and he relays to you, apparently he has moved on from ABERL-ARC and has decided to
Start fresh.
Okay. He doesn't know where he went, but at some point he just sort of approached Autolycus and had said, "Hey, I'm going to be taking off. May the gods be with you. Fon may guide you."
Okay.
And he dipped.
Maybe we'll find him somewhere.
Yes, perhaps.
Autolycus, I didn't tell you this. There is definitely a lockbox in there full of some of his money that I was not able to get to, but when they're... So if someone wants to take that.
Well, it's probably likely that he took that with him.
Well, you see, I wasn't able to get to it because it all collapsed onto us, right, during the tremors.
Well, he's very small. Perhaps he was able to slip through some places you cannot.
Maybe it's there, maybe it's not.
But we will look. It would be good for the town.
Exactly.
Yeah, only other thing I was going to do is, depending on if there's time left, and I don't know what Autolycus is doing in preparation for the meeting, but if he was going to be doing any smithing,
Yes.
and I could sort of assist him and see what I could learn, I would do that.
Autolycus, he graciously accepts your aid. There are others in the town who are also eager to sort of apprentice under him, whether out of just reverence or actual interest in things. Some of them drop out relatively quickly when they realize how harsh he is as a master smith.
Yeah.
But you stick with it. There's not too much to be learned or gleaned in the initial 10 days, especially because you are doing other things leading up to the situation. But you learn some of the more, not basics because you already learned some of the basics, but you learn some of the more fine-tuned things here and there. And he encourages you to stick with this further for however long you want to stay at the town of ABERL-ARC post Lord's Round meeting.
Cool.
So yeah, good stuff.
Nice.
Anyone else in town might be able to identify magic items? Or
Go ahead and just give me a general. We'll do another investigation check.
We'll just ask Maeve. Do you know magic?
You know anybody?
Maybe,
no, I don't know fucking shit.
Maybe the druid? Maybe?
Maybe
10.
10. You take some time over the next course of a few days of the week that you'll be spending here in anticipation, and it seems as though no one is well versed in the arcane arts here in order to divine whatever properties this ring has beyond what you're able to already sense. However, Autolycus does give you a little bit of words of encouragement. There are a number of graduates of the High Wreath Academy that live in Croonbale.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the capital city. Like a lot of that, like there's a lot going on in Croonbale.
That's where the meeting is.
That is where the meeting is. So
Can you imagine the shopping episode we're about to have when we get there?
it's almost like I'm giving you a whole bunch of gold to start that shit up. So fuck yeah. Is there anything else that you guys would like to do in the week leading up to the meeting?
I think that covers. I mean, the only other thing I wrote down was like just updating my personal maps with specifically with like where I found mushrooms along the way, aside from just the basic routes. But
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I'm curious about, was it Dove, the girl who
Dove, yes.
was arrested when we first came in? Find out where
how's she doing?
How's Dove doing? Yeah, for sure. It doesn't take you long. One of the nights that you spend at the Grappled Thigh, you run into Dove. She seems to be doing well, as far as you can tell. She was a attendant at the Thorn Estate for the ensuing couple of days after you arrived there. That was sort of her servitude, her dictated servitude for attempting to flee the city. And while she was there, she befriended Harry, and since then she sort of goes on to explain very modestly that Harry has been impressed at her sense of wit and her quick mind. She seems to be relatively gifted, at least in terms of bureaucracy, which is relatively surprising. She seems to have, at least how Harry describes it, as a, quote, refreshing, endearing, what's the word I'm looking for? removed sense of what is right in this sort of bureaucratic situation they find themselves in. And he has invited her to sort of serve as kind of like a pseudo secretary of ABERL-ARC. She assists best she can with the ongoing dilemmas and situations that Harry and Markov seem to find themselves dealing with on the day-to-day. And they take her ideas and her suggestions very seriously, which she is very grateful for. Her father is sort of he's still rather old, so he can't do much, but he has sort of taken up aiding Autolycus best he can with some of the more fine-tuned things. He doesn't really lift a lot of he doesn't do a lot of heavy lifting at the smithy or at any of the other construction sites throughout ABERL-ARC, but he does a lot of the sort of fine craftsman work. Kill actually has spent a handful of time with Garnick. He does a lot of fletching as well. So Kaz, he actually helped fletch a lot of the arrows that Autolycus made for you as well.
Nice. Sorry, so Dove was fleeing the city because she owed a debt, right?
Dove and Garnick, her father Garnick, were leaving the city because of a debt that they owed, apparently to Thorn.
Was that kind of unique to them, or was that? I'm curious if that was like a common, like that was why everyone was like staying in the town because they all owed debts or something.
Yeah, no, that was a more common thing. It wasn't that like everybody owed debts or something, but like that was a tactic that the Knights Round used to really sort of not justify their, well, yeah, I guess for lack of a better term, justify their tyranny over the people, but or just to add another layer of dickheadedness of the situation.
Well, they wanted to like maintain like the workforce.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Keep people in the town.
Right. So yeah,
Cool.
good stuff. Alrighty, y'all. Is there anything else that we want to dive into before we do this meeting?
Nope.
Good. Okay. Well then, let's actually take an early break because I want to. This sort of next half of the session is going to be very roleplay heavy, very interesting, and political intrigue type situation. So I don't necessarily want to stop in a random spot or go so close to like an hour after like we would normally take a break. So we're gonna take a break right now. We're gonna be back in maybe 10 or 15 minutes or something like that. So if you haven't used the restroom, grab a drink or grab a snack or anything, do so now. We're gonna go do that as well, and we'll be right back with the meeting of the first time of the King of Naledi, King Eodrin. So
Hell yeah. I'm sure he's a great guy.
yeah, I'm sure he's cool. I bet he's really cool.
He's super nice. I bet we get there and he's
I bet he gives you a big old kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, consensual. All right, we'll see you guys in just a second.
We get there and it's Marley.
I also have Chimeras is also on my list.
Bless you. Welcome back, everybody.
What?
I don't know. We are back from our break. We're actually, while we were sort of sitting here, I was explaining there was something that I had forgot to tell the party, specifically Matt. One of the scrolls that Kill had found in Ilan Thorn's study inside, Ibrahim's study inside Ilan Thorn's estate was a scroll of object permanence, which is a homebrew spell that I created for our world. And you might be thinking like, oh, object permanence, that's like that thing that babies don't have when you like disappear from their view and they're like, oh, you don't exist anymore or whatever. But that's not what this spell does. So this spell is actually really cool and interesting. Hold on, I just had it up. But Kill spent some time trying to figure out what the spell did, because he has a spell scroll of it, like I said. And essentially, Object Permanence is a 3rd level spell that states, you touch an object and imbue it with a single magical property permanently, or until dispelled by extraordinary means. The object is unaffected by the Dispel magic spell. The magical property can be any magical property that you have previously interacted with, whether through wielding a magical weapon or attuning to a magical item, or otherwise. It can also be an effect of a spell that targets an object with a limited duration that is in your class's spell list up to the 3rd level. So they've been sort of theory crafting on like what they could be doing. So if you have any ideas of what use this spell could be for whatever thing, go ahead and feel free to say that in chat to give an idea for the players. Yes, Garrett?
I just want to know if this will work real quick.
Tell me.
So with thaumaturgy, I can make the ground tremor harmlessly.
You cannot imbue the ground. No.
Okay.
The ground is
not an
not an
object. Yeah.
It would be really fun.
That's thinking big.
Just like a 30-foot radius, constantly tremor.
That'd be really funny.
It makes it a +1 magic.
I would
weapon,
argue-
and it also adds a D4 of a elemental type.
You made a strong argument
One of the stronger
that you would want to cast thaumaturgy on like a bed frame, just to make it like a
Oh yeah.
a little vibrating whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could probably convince
It's like
me.
those beds in the motels where you don't have to put a quarter in.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I can cause. Is a flame an object?
A flame is not an object.
Okay. Are my eyes an object?
They would be if they were outside of your body and not attached to you.
We could pluck your eyes out and give them dark vision.
You could.
I have dark vision.
You can give better dark. Better dark.
Well, yeah.
I could double see in the dark.
I could see in
The point was plucking your eyes out. So actually, the spell is interesting because it's pretty open-ended when it talks about like an effect that you've seen or experienced.
Yep.
So that could
Well, that's
be
true.
that could
Yeah,
be
what else
basically
have we-
anything.
what else
So
have we seen?
we'll have to think about that longer.
You have to. It's
But-
not just that you've seen.
you
You
like-
have to have interacted with it,
attuned
like
to it?
in not just attuned. Yes, attuned to it is an example.
Yeah.
But like you have to like really understand the effect that you're putting in, right? So like.
So like
some
what
random
sort of,
thing that happened to you from like gores or something that you're, or from whatever that you're like, oh, I got hit with it. It's like, okay, yeah, but do you have like an innate understanding of what that is?
But like the growing and shrinking of the realm sphere would be an example, probably.
That could possibly be an example.
Yeah,
Especially if you spend enough time with it. Sure.
Yeah. So the two leading spell choices that we found, and I don't think we're going to decide this minute because the open-endedness is too intriguing.
I know. That's why I like it.
But the two most interesting sort of powerful spells is elemental weapon, which normally lasts an hour, and you imbue a non-magical weapon with basically a +1 to attack and an extra D4 damage of any elemental type you want. So you could take a normal sword and give it like a. In fact, we have some +1 swords that aren't magical, so you could take a +1 sword and make it a +2 sword that does a D4 like fire damage or whatever.
Yeah, because you have some +1 swords that are just
yeah.
really well made.
Yeah, which would be really dope. And the other one is flame arrows.
Actually, no, you can't because that's not a magical property. Oh, wait, you mean make the magical +1 property on the well-made +1 non-magical sword? Got it. I thought you meant vice versa, and I was like, that doesn't
So
make
then
sense.
it would be a
and I was like,
+2
oh, yeah,
to
of course.
hit and a +1 +1/+1d4 damage.
Correct.
So that'd be pretty dope. And then, or alternatively, flame arrows, normally again for an hour, makes a quiver, basically make any arrow drawn from it do an extra d6 fire damage, and this could permanently make the quiver, a flame arrow quiver.
You know what we
pretty cool.
also could do, and this is just a weird thing that could be useful. If I cast darkness on a torch, it'll move with me.
Yeah.
So we could just have a dark
torch. Yeah. Actually, he mentioned darkness too, and I was like, that's actually really interesting.
And I think if you cover it like, because you block it like it's
like a bag of holding something, just stick it in there and like.
Yeah, but doesn't darkness specify select a point within
Yeah,
range?
No. If the point you choose is on an object you are holding or one that isn't being worn or carried, the darkness emanates from the object and moves with it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good.
It can be an object.
sense.
It just can't be an object that like your enemy is carrying.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it can be something that you are carrying or that's just like on the ground.
Totally works.
And
completely covering the source of the darkness with an opaque object such as a bowl or helm blocks the darkness. So
I'm not gonna lie. Like a
That's
+d6
honestly awesome.
damage or whatever is cool, but like a torch of darkness might be the coolest idea so
Yeah,
far.
that's sick. That's sick.
So anyway, we're gonna sit on that, but
love
that's definitely a cool idea.
Yeah,
the
if you-
utility is very interesting. The problem is this magical darkness that none of us can see through.
Yeah.
That's true.
So if
unlimited use there.
but somebody, when's our next ASI? Someone can get Devil Sight as a feat,
Oh yeah, true. You could take a warlock.
and they can see through magical darkness and just walk around with their darkness torch.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
OP.
I wonder where our enemy is. Probably in that 15-foot ball of darkness.
Yeah.
Is it a radius or is it?
Yeah, it's a radius.
Oh, okay. So I mean,
Now, if you
that's
use-
30 feet around. That's fine.
Levitate can be not an object. We have the things
You
like
could have a constantly levitating thing, which you could also you could basically use it to fly around.
but
slow
only-
speeds.
Basically, only go up.
Only up or down.
Only up
And
and
then
down.
once you're
That's
in the air,
right,
you
just
can't
a
move
little
forward.
elevator.
You can carry it with you. I think.
A permanent
It's like having to
elevator.
go up or down at will, basically. whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you get an object, like if you get a rug, you could make a levitating rug. And just like unroll it, put it in the bag of holding, unroll it when you need, and just elevate
You
yourself.
just
up.
go into the grapple tie and just grab like a waiter's tray and then just like
that too, sure.
yeah.
Static shock that bitch. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I love it.
Dude, yeah.
that'd be sick. Many
Very
options.
interesting options.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Word. All right, good stuff. Cool. So
gonna
just want
mark
to double
those
check.
down.
Is there anything else that you guys want to do before you begin to make your trek towards Crunbale, capital of Naledian?
Nah, I'm just practicing with the dual wielding.
Sounds good. For the sake of brevity for you, Kaz, you're gonna have additional downtime after this, pretty much regardless. So if you spend enough time doing that, you actually are going to gain the dual wielder feat.
Nice.
So you can sort of.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I already put it in your.
I saw.
Yeah,
That's one of the reasons I brought it up.
Yeah, okay, word. Yeah, I got you. So yeah, Kaz spends a lot of time training with his dual wielding stuff, 2 months essentially worth, and you get so good at it that you're
good at it.
Yeah, you're good at it. So yeah.
Listen, Sharps taught me a lot. I'm kind of. I knew the basics of it. It was just a matter of like making.
And you actually you spend a lot of time with Autolycus, and apparently back in the day he also was a sort of a dual wielding guy. So he helps you out a little bit.
You have gold toe shiv and like just like a regular dagger right
Well,
now?
right now I have 2 long swords of +1.
You can't use those with dual wielder because they're not light.
Dual wielder says they don't have to be light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dual wielding specifically.
I was thinking the fighting style. I was
Yes,
thinking the fighting style.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Incredible. Remember what?
Incredible.
If you don't know who Sharps is, check out our Patreon. There's some stories with him on
Word.
there.
Big word. Hell yeah, brother. Okay, so with all that being said, 10 days pass since the successful uprising against the tyrannical.
They don't use D&D Beyond. They don't have ads like this.
Oh, did they give you an ad?
No, I was on a site that's not D&D Beyond, and there's a one simple method to fight nail fungus with a really gross image.
Oh, great.
As a
Just
little,
one weird trick.
Lovely.
yeah.
Doctors hate it.
Doctors hate this one weird trick. Nice. Well,
Getting toe fungus to own the lips.
delicious. I guess I'm thinking. Yeah. Anyway, so it's been 10 days since the successful. Oh God, that protein
I
bar
would
did-
rather
yeah.
eat toe fungus.
Word, that
for
shit was
sure.
disgusting. So, 10 days after the successful uprising against the tyrannical government here in the town of ABERL-ARC, you gather with a few of the more well-trained members of the newly established ABERL-ARC militia, and Autolycus, the de facto sort of patriarchal human here, or well, Dragonborn actually, humanoid here in the town of ABERL-ARC, to make headway towards the capital of Crunbale. Autolycus essentially serves as the, for lack of a better term, the representative of the town, while Marcroft and Harry are doing their best to tend to the folk here and to raise the town back into what they hope it to be, this, a quaint enough little town that can keep its people safe and keep things in a proper order. Autolycus encourages you all to remain vigilant on your path to the capital. Not that he expects any sort of foul play or anything, but we're getting this close to the finish line in this whole situation, and to be at a loss here at the end would be very unsatisfying. So you spend your time heading to Crunbale, sticking to the roads, taking not necessarily the long route, but the safest possible way around the bend of the Tempest Peaks and up north towards the capital city. It takes you about half a 10-day to get there, about 5 days total of travel, slowly but surely, not outpacing anybody else by any means. As you begin to travel, you see many different travelers along this trade route. This seems to be a rather well-traveled place once you get on sort of the main trade route that connects a couple of these different provinces here. Specifically, the province of Cradle seems to be this like really diverse and well-traveled trade route. It seems to be cutting through a lot of the central portion of the what would essentially be the Midwest of Naledian. And if there's anything that any of you guys want to bring up to each other or to Autolycus or anything like that on your travels, you may do so. If not, we can just sort of skip directly to when you arrive at. You do have 5 days, so whatever you want.
So, Autolycus, have you ever had much experience with talking to the king, or do you ever know anything about it?
Personally, no. I've never met the man. As far as I've heard, he's a tempered enough fellow, calm, level-headed.
Any idea how sort of favorably he'll look upon us as far as this whole situation goes?
Well, with what we're able to bring to the table, we've provided a few of the documents that we found, a great amount of evidence that supports our claims to the unlawful governance there. The only thing that I am weary about is whether or not his initial claim is correctly sanctioned by the king himself.
Saying Thorn's claim.
Yes.
Will have to see.
The hope is that, the whole hand of hell thing will sort of...
Yes, he was working with some sort of devil or something, so...
When speaking of our part specifically, could we maybe leave out the fact that we came on the whims of a child?
Sure, what did you have in mind?
It's just a simple matter of we were in town and happened to.
Well, that
come
could
across,
actually. I mean,
just not mentioning that we came here because Rennie told us that there was an unlawful ruler. It just might be bad optics.
You think?
Maybe.
Maybe it's perfect optics.
Maybe it's perfect.
We learned from this. Very sympathetic child that there was something awful happening in town, and we went and investigated and found out it was true.
Who would care more about an unlawful ruler than the lawful ruler?
See, it's not. I don't think. Honestly, I'm sure he'll see our side on the whole. I've realized I've changed my voice a lot. I'm sure he's going to be on our side about the whole maybe he didn't deserve to be on the throne. It's just the fact that we came in because a child, 12-year-old little boy, told us, "Hey, my brother should be ruling this town," and we just jumped a whole hog in, didn't we?
Well, it helped matters that we saw Thorn slaughtering monkeys with a demon axe.
Yes.
And absorbing their blood and shit.
Well, but
what's the term? We sort of believe but verify sort of thing,
Believe children,
Yes.
Believe women, believe children.
Believe children.
Yeah, Kaz. Misogynist.
I
such a good history with women, actually. You'd know about it if you read the fucking Patreon.
Yes, I mean, it's not as if we killed Thorn because a child told us to. We sort of the child informed us that something was going on. We went and investigated, and it was true. So we took action from there.
Oh, right. That's what you guys want to do.
I think it'll be fine.
I don't think we have to lead with it.
That's what I'm saying, really.
But,
maybe it's something we just
maybe not sort of frame Brenny as sort of the brains of the operation, but
you kind of was for a while there.
Well, we don't have to share that part.
Right? Yeah, exactly. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
I see what you're saying.
We will stick to the pertinent information.
Absolutely. That's really what I was getting at.
Understood. Right.
We're just gonna meet with the king, or it's like all kinds of. It's all the local rulers, right? All the local.
As far as I know, yes, this is a more of a banquet, as far as I've understood. I haven't been to one, to be honest with you, so I don't know.
You're in good company.
Yeah, that makes-
I haven't. I'm sure he hasn't.
To be honest with you, I'm happy that we're here together. Yes.
But do you? Okay, so
Please.
so the king is like relatively cool. It sounds like, but do you?
Just a cool guy.
Oh, he's so cool, dude.
He's like the coolest guy.
Yeah, he's very cool.
He released a memoir last year called "Relatively Cool."
Relatively cool.
He's like standing on the cover like this.
No, it's
Crown's kind of tilted.
Yeah.
He wears a cool fedora. It's
Hey, don't.
The crown is just a fedora. Yeah.
It's just like, don't touch the royal fedora.
I'm wondering if there's any there's like other types of the banquet that might like kind of like trying to cause some trouble, like anyone trying to be like a real Ibrahim at the party,
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. It's likely that there are a few Ibrahims just in the world in general, especially at this sort of level of influence. It's rare that someone attains such status without upsetting a few folk.
Yes. Well, I think we'll just have to roll with the punches and see what things as they come.
We'll just walk in there like a few respectful cunts, and it'll go great.
Yes. So, Kill.
Yeah.
How do you
Cool, I've got an idea. And I think you might like it.
Yeah.
When we get there, follow my lead. I'm gonna shut the fuck up and not talk the whole time.
I mean, okay. I do have a few ideas though. I do have a few ideas about how to like run the kingdom differently. So
Right. See,
Yes.
that might be the kind of thing.
I
to
think
avoid.
that might be best saved for another sort of like maybe he has like a suggestion box that you could put some things into.
yeah.
Maybe that's a treatise you write to the king when we know how he feels about us.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really know how to write, so I'll just tell him.
Do you not?
It'll be fine.
I feel like I've seen you write before.
I don't really remember, but I just made that. So my claws really get in the way.
For sure.
I shredded a lot of parchment in my.
Well, yes, I'm sure we'll figure it out as we go.
We'll all be relatively cool.
Yes.
Oh, we're all cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so.
We're just like four cool guys out on the
Yeah.
out on the prowl.
And these guys are cool too.
And the two other like armed, riders that are with you are just like,
There is something about this exchange that has absolutely set me off right now. Just feeling bad.
the guy with the thumb up is just like,
You know what? That's actually a respectable response. That's making me. You lost it. I feel like we should be nervous, is what I'm saying. Like a little bit of nervy energy would be fine.
Wild magic surge.
ooh!
Common.
Common our word. Roll that D100, baby. We're getting into it. God damn.
Fireball.
Fireball, baby. Blow up the king.
We're not at the king's chamber yet.
You know.
63.
Mo drop.
We're always like in the 60s. It's weird.
I didn't like the second laugh.
That's funny. As you're all conversing, Indigo, you begin to feel a knot in your stomach, a familiar knot.
You really gotta poop.
And then you feel kind of like a little gassy. And then you just sort of. And as you fart, a giant fog cloud erupts out of your ass, and just poof, you cast fog cloud centered on yourself. So you
On your
create
asshole specifically.
Yeah, you create a 20-foot radius sphere of fog centered on a point within range, your butthole. The sphere spreads around corners, and its area is heavily obscured. It lasts for the duration or until a wind of moderate or greater speed disperses it.
I'm
The
very.
duration is 1 hour.
Permanent.
I got the perfect idea.
So when this happens, I'm just like,
Well, it wasn't me.
Did you say something?
Nobody can see this, but I reach down at my side and I uncork a flask and I knock back my potion of bottled wind.
Oh my god.
Wait, you knock it back.
Yeah, it's a potion.
Oh,
Yeah.
weird.
Oh, unless you like breathe in like gas and
So now I can cast Gust of Wind.
Yep.
So I knock this back, and now out of my asshole comes a burst of clean wind
Ah, yes.
that blows your foggy, foul
Yes,
cloud away.
Yes.
You have anti-farts.
Yeah.
Anti-farts. He actually sucks it up through his own butthole. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just beep,
yeah. And then
beep,
I
beep,
blow
say
smoke,
something?
fog rings.
yeah.
Yes. Well, I think we're all very prepared to go speak with royalty now.
Oh God.
Yes.
I made
Got
this.
it all out of the way. So we're
Tonka,
good.
are you feeling all right now? Are you feeling good?
I'm fine. I feel like I have to poop too.
Let's all take a quick bathroom break.
Yeah,
before
we can
go.
pull over.
I'm just gonna walk a little
Pull over.
ahead, I think. You guys have your fun.
That is honestly the best use I can think of for the potion of bottled
That was
wind.
amazing. Yeah,
So,
what else were we gonna
I'm
use?
glad I got to use it in that fashion.
And I am now walking like 20 feet ahead of the I guess caravan.
Just jogging
whatever.
alongside.
Just like not part of this anymore. Because I feel like we're gonna get killed.
Hashtag killed.
One thing comes out of either this guy's lips or I guess this guy's ass, and we're executed.
That's right, baby. Holy fuck, you just got killed. Hell yeah. That's fucked. We need to make a shirt that says that. You just got killed.
That would actually make pretty
It's
good.
just the pixelated sunglasses. You know?
Yes. Fucking hell, that's funny.
Thug life.
Thug life. You just got killed. All right, y'all. So, the remainder of your travel time passes, and eventually, you begin to see upon the horizon the silhouette of the grand city of Krunbale, the crowning jewel that sits atop a sort of plateaued area just on the other side of the Tempest Peaks. It's sort of wreathed by this beautiful, this really, really beautiful, not really a lake, but it's a body of water that sort of surrounds this sort of inland peninsula that Krunbale sits atop of. There's this grand wooden bridge that stretches across what seems to be a mile from one end of this body of water to the other, to the lip of the peninsula that the city is set upon. It is this gorgeous, multi-tiered, circular sort of situation. It is
Looks like right above the.
right here.
Yeah.
Yes. The body of water is like not big. It's right below the Sky Mirror Lake. Yes. So, anyways, you can see this like multi-tiered grand city in the horizon, and as you begin to approach, Autolycus sort of says, "All right, shouldn't be but a few hours before we reach the gates, the city gates. Allow me to do the talking until we sort of find refuge.
Oh, thank God.
Get our bearings. The banquet is tonight. At this point, it's relatively late in the midday, probably something like 2 p.m. or so. He continues to say, once we get our lodging, we're expected to arrive sometime around dusk or so. We'll have a little bit of time to rest wherever we will be stationed.
Do you think the other delegates, so to speak, do you think they'll have, kind of friends with them, or do you think we'll kind of be outside the norm?
I believe people are invited to bring one or two guests.
Okay.
As far as I know, I know that in the sort of explicit meeting, the guests are not necessarily invited to that. However, I believe we will be able to make a strong enough case to include you in that.
Okay.
We dress nice enough.
He sort of looks down at his own like ramshackled, outfit, and he just says,
This is the best I have.
Well, you represent the people of ABERL-ARC.
Right.
So,
I mean, you're more than welcome to wear whatever you'd like. Hopefully nothing too attention grabbing.
oh no,
I don't know.
we blend in pretty well here.
I just don't know how much time we'll have to mill about.
Sure. Right. Absolutely.
Well, we'll follow your lead.
Right.
Do you know anybody in town, by the way?
Not really. Okay. No. I just have the paperwork that Harry was able to give to me.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, we'll follow your lead.
Okay.
for the sake of brevity, you arrive into the city gates, and the city is massive. It is this beautiful metropolis of a city.
Are we in like a covered like wagon, by the way?
No.
Okay.
No, you're just all horseback.
Oh, horseback. Sorry.
Okay. And Autolycus does all of the talking, getting into the city itself. He shows some paperwork at the gates, which are crowded with people. Like there is like a massive crowd outside the gates of Krunvale. There's many. There's like a handful of like neighborhoods around Krunvale on the outskirts of like the main city, sort of on the at the edge of the bridge that leads over to like that main portion of the city. There's a lot of like fishermen docks and wharfs and stuff like that. But like there's a main gate that basically you can't like get any further like into the city except crossing over this like mile long bridge that gets all the way to the it gets all the way inland.
By the way, Autolycus seems nervous, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'll definitely like give him like words of encouragement every time he like interacts with somebody. Like,
Nice.
That was really good. I would have fucked that up.
Good. That you do continue to give him a little bit of a boost of confidence as you continue to encourage him.
Would you care for a sip, Autolycus? Kind of loosen things up a little bit.
Please. And he just sort of like takes a few swigs and then puts it to the side. There are a handful of people that in the crowds that sort of like shout out to all of you. Every once in a while, like someone just sort of cheers for people like that, like cross through. Some people you kind of hear like muttering like, "Who the fuck are these people?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, and some other people are just like, "I don't know, you know, we're still cheering though." You know what I mean? Like, they seem to be well aware of what is about to happen here in the capital. This seems to be more of an event maybe than you might have been expecting.
They don't specifically recognize us as the Baird Souls. They're just like cheering like.
It's just sort of like, oh, there are more people who are like here. They look like they're you know
They're going down the red carpet. I don't know who.
yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Regardless of how they react, I'm just kind of treating it like a parade. Just sort of like, oh yes, hello, wonderful. Yes, I'm wearing. I don't know who I'm wearing. But
Yeah, for sure.
By the way, do we have any like any kind of like? I know there's the 2 extra guys. Do we have any kind of like banner that we're like going with? Okay.
No, you're not. But the paperwork is presented by Autolycus. Anything, Michaela?
How does a wild magic search savage treat you?
Oh, savage surge!
You're in the middle of town.
There are civilians.
It's Tony Both.
Oh my God, animal!
all right.
All right,
D300?
roll D300, baby boy.
Oh boy.
Oh my lord, I'm excited.
This is gonna be a goddamn massacre.
Oh,
It's gonna be like 12 magic missiles.
No, because Indigo's about to get like just fucking. He's about to get like permanent flight or some shit.
yeah. He's about to get the biggest boon he's ever gotten.
94.
Fireworks are
94.
gonna
He
be
actually
flying out of him.
cast fog cloud, but over the entire city.
This is very cool.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
You kill everyone.
It's
This
rad.
says you kill everyone around
It
you.
says you become a nuke.
This is very cool. Okay, so, Okay, so you, as you're just sort of like waving to the people, you get up to the point where you have to stop while Autolycus is just sort of conversing with these, with the city guard at the gate, sort of presenting the paperwork. And you just sort of, you turn to look at the people and you turn to look at your companions. And you look back and you notice someone relatively close, like not too far away, like maybe like 15 feet away. There are a handful of like city guards sort of like clear the path to make sure like no one can like rush through or anything. Someone just sort of like looks at you and is just like, or whatever. And you're sort of like, weird. And you turn to look at your friends and Kaz, Kill. As Indigo sort of turns back to look at you, Indigo, for a moment, like as you turn, you blink a little bit, and out of nowhere, you're just like, wow, I get like a really good, like you're just like, for some reason, like you blink a little bit, and as you turn to look at your friends, it's like you can see details on them that you have not noticed before. Like your eyesight, like suddenly has gotten better. Like you felt like, as you turn, you're kind of like, oh, I guess that wasn't anything. But like you just like feel like, oh shit, like you're really noticing like a lot of really interesting stuff. And as it sort of dawns on you that they're both looking at you like, the fuck? You both notice that a third eye has appeared in the middle of Indigo's forehead.
He is now the Sorcerer
I think
Supreme.
I've had a third eye before.
I think so too.
Maybe. But yeah, an eye appears on the caster's forehead for a duration. During that time, he or she or they have advantage on wisdom (perception) checks that rely on sight.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, so fuck you, Eric.
But hey,
Do it again. Do it again.
okay, blink. Do all three?
All three of them blink at once, yes.
Hell yeah! All right.
Don't even look at me.
Don't even look at me.
I just take like one finger and I just do this to see if all three eyes like focus in on.
Yeah, and they do.
Yeah.
And it's like really weird, and you can see really well.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, yes. Wonderful.
Autolycus at this point has sort of finished with the conversation. He sort of turns around and says, all right, so we...
What?
Good?
Please ignore it.
Okay, yeah, everything is all set. The representatives of ABERL-ARC of the province of Blackweld, tally ho!
And he just sort of like, as you can see beads of sweat, even though he's a lizard man, like somehow he's sweating.
He has found a way to regulate his body temperature.
Somehow. He turns and just sort of urges his horse forward, and some of the guards just sort of like take a quizzical like eyebrow up at Indigo as you pass through with your third eye. You pass through successfully, and you begin to make your way across the Great Bridge of Crownvale. Again, for the sake of brevity, Autolycus essentially lets you know that you will be given room and board in the second tier of the city, which is relatively nice. Not like too nice or anything, but it's good. Good place. You're going to be walled up in the Warm Wolves tavern. Excuse me. It's called the Warm Wolves Den, but it's a tavern. There are 4 rooms that have been procured for you guys. They didn't expect more than 4 people to show up, but here you are with 6. So Autolycus says,
myself and the other hands will have our own room. If the 3 of you would like to have each of your own, or whatever you want to do, it should be fine.
Well,
Well, I'll take this room. I just immediately go into a room.
yeah. Is it? I'm trying to be on my best behavior. Do you think I'll draw some attention if I sleep outside like I normally do?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's a big city. I'm sure there are folk that sleep outside. Maybe not in the second tier, but I mean, it's up to you. I don't think it'll be a problem. But
Why don't you take my room? I like to stretch out under the stars.
all right, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Besides, you're the official delegate at ABERL-ARC. You shouldn't be sharing room with, you need your.
Oh,
Use your space.
Morris and Brunman are fine. It's all right. I don't mind. But thank you. I will do this.
Treat
Is that
yourself.
all right with
Really
you two?
starfish out on the bed, just like it'll be.
You know what? I will.
Yes.
Yeah. Stretch my tail out. I understand. Yes. If I had one. And he just sort of like. It's an old saying. Anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
Batman symbol. You guys are in the hallway of the Warm Wolf's den.
Cool.
And you guys each have your own rooms, with the exception of Kill, who you can sort of sleep under the stars. Obviously, you won't be sleeping now. You're just going to sort of take a moment to prepare yourselves for this grand meeting.
I just want to check in with Indigo
Yes.
in his room. Hey, by the way, did you find, when we found those books in Ibrahim's study, did you find one that was going to help you, maybe?
Yes, I did find this book about the Fae. I thought it might be useful.
Yeah, okay. I was reminded of it when you grew the third eye earlier. I thought,
Which at this point it is back into his head. Yeah.
I was just wondering if you found anything interesting in there.
Haven't really started reading it yet, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm very busy in the village.
Yeah, fair enough.
But maybe I'll when we rest here tonight, perhaps I'll spend a bit of time
Sure.
through it.
I also found a second book about like flora, but specifically in the Feywild. So like, you know, I'll let you know if I read anything
Yes,
about
anything.
you know, anything that could be useful in there.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, that's it. Getting dressed is easy when you wear this much. So. Anyway.
I've thrown all my stuff into my bag of holding except for a dagger strapped to my thigh.
Word.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just and I guess I have the bag of holding. But just, you know, I'm just looking a little more professional.
Yeah, I look the same as always.
Well, yeah, I assume.
Yeah.
Do you not even want to put your hammer in here, maybe? You know, just like hold it up.
I mean, I'll keep it on me, I think, for now.
I gotta keep that thing on me.
I was considering doing a disguise self to give myself a different outfit, but that's all I can say not to attract attention. So I'm just gonna wear my normal like open robe.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Well, you think they're going to take our stuff like when we went and met with Thorn?
They might want to take your weapons.
All right.
Stuff.
I'll throw it in there. That's fine.
Yeah, just because, you know, it's the fucking king.
Yeah. Yeah. Wink.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Imagine it as a drawstring bag for some reason.
Yeah.
I think it's because that's what it was on.
Yeah, I like it.
I think of it that way too. Just like a coin purse, basically.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
It's tiny.
I like that.
Yeah, cool. I do have my goggles of night. They're very fashionable up here, you know, and my cloak and all the usual stuff. But
Well, that's right. I forgot I have Ibrahim's clothes on too. So
oh yes,
a little more clothes than usual.
very
Because
yeah.
special occasion. I'll wear a shirt. Fine.
Stuff.
Cool.
Alrighty. Anything else you guys want to do to prepare?
Unless I can go get like a suit. Nah.
Unfortunately, there's not enough time.
Fine clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
No, just putting everything away. Just trying to look presentable. Maybe I'll even grease my hair up a little bit.
Very nice.
Sure.
It's the exact sound that it makes. Good stuff. Okay, cool.
Polish the horns.
So eventually, the time of day comes to dusk, and the sun begins to set in the horizon of the Tempest Peaks. And Autolycus rouses you all, and he says that Morris and Brumman will be sort of just staying back. They won't be attending the event. They'll just be chilling out here. He actually had mentioned if there's anything that you would like them to procure for you while we're there, I'm sure, you know, if you have whatever coin you'd like, they can do the best to try to find it while we're trying to do the best we can. I'm not entirely sure what would be open still at dusk, but maybe they can, you know, catch something while there's still time. I'm sending them out to get some rations for us for the trip back.
Sure.
Do we want them to identify the ring, maybe, or should we save that for?
I think maybe if I don't know if they're in the room, but I think maybe if y'all could just maybe like kind of figure out like where the places are. You know, I wouldn't mind going myself to actually procure goods, but if you can find like if there's a a place where maybe we could identify some things, or just kind of the good places to hit maybe in the morning.
Brumman sort of nods his head and says, "Aye, we can do that."
Oh, and specifically, if there's a any kind of place that you think might be associated with like a like a map makers or cartographers guild. I don't know if there's like a guild, you know, system here or not, but I figured the capital's a best place to look.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do that.
Cool.
Great. All right. Well, God be with you. I'll say a prayer to Van for you.
Thanks.
All right, Morris, you ready?
Are we supposed to like bring like a gift or something, like an offering?
Harold did not tell me if that was customary or not. I don't.
What do y'all
I believe
think?
so. I think everything is provided for us.
Okay.
I mean, listen, if we do, I'm gonna go and I pull out like the 2 ruby gems that used to be used to communicate with the 5.
Oh yeah.
The 5 of hells. I'm gonna go these.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Okay, that's fair.
It was, you know, last resort
If it
type
seems
thing.
like things are like going in like a bad direction, maybe you could be like, oh, and we have these.
If we get there and everybody else has like gifts ready to go, we're like, we got that thing.
Use your best judgment.
Yeah, it's like when you got that candle in your house. You know, that you're just like, I could give this to somebody. If...
Do you remember if I got the plate armor back from Markroft? I feel like I didn't.
No, you never did.
Yeah, I stabbed him and bolted.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, cool.
So, Autolycus says,
Get a wheel of cheese.
all right. Well, they always have a wheel of cheese on deck for sure. Autolycus says,
All right. Well, let us away.
and he begins to lead you through the streets of Crunbale. Now, he does have to stop every once in a while to sort of ask for directions, because it's a very big city, and he has not been in a place like this almost ever. At least when he served in the Tens, he didn't do any sort of sightseeing or leisurely walking in big cities. He did more storming the castle type shit. And so every once in a while, you just have to stop and like he'll converse with a fellow sort of city guard, or if anybody looks amicable, that he could sort of flag down, ask them, hey, how do we get to the castle?
Sure.
And they're like, literally fucking
Like,
look
it's the
up,
big
dude. Like,
building.
it's, yeah, keep going up. Yeah, and he's just like, oh, okay. You can see he's very out of his element. It's very, very funny. And slowly but surely, you begin to realize that the sun is quickly setting, and you're not sure how fashionably late it might be cool to be. But eventually, you do reach the highest, most tier of the city of Crunbale.
As we're walking through the town to find the castle, is there any, like, what's the populace seem to be? Is it pretty like multi-racial? Is it like largely human?
Yeah, so it's very, as far as you can see in the second tier, it is multiracial. There are many different types of humanoids that you sort of encounter as you're passing through, especially because now it seems like the city is in the process of preparing for some sort of large festival. Probably that's going to be happening either simultaneously with the meeting or post meeting, maybe in the middle of the night or something like that. A lot of people seem to be out preparing for what might be happening here in Crunbale. And you can see lots of some not so well-to-do, some well-to-do members of the city. You see that there are mostly humans here, but you've seen all. I mean, as you pass through, you see all manner of humanoids here: dragonborn, tiefling, dwarf, gnomish, halfling. The least of you maybe see one half elf or sort of just elven blooded person. I mean, you're trying to beeline as much as you can.
I'm not studying intently, but just.
But once you get closer and closer to the castle, which Autolycus, as he's sort of like, he just keeps like asking people and like referring to where is it? Yeah, he keeps referring to did I not just have it? I thought I did.
Oh, it's okay, Autolycus. I'm sure you're going the right way.
Yeah, and
And have some confidence.
Yeah. He's just sort of like reassured. He keeps asking people, and they keep pointing him in what seems to be the right direction and all that. Eventually you make your way to the capital, or excuse me, to the castle of the capital.
And I'm also curious, just to kind of get a sense of the you know, everything. Do there seem to be like street vendors like there might be at like festivals and like special events, or is it?
They seem to be setting up for that.
Okay.
Yes. There doesn't seem to be anything of like that's like readily available right now.
Okay.
But perhaps, you know, post banquet there might be something going on.
If I want soup in a bread bowl, you know.
Bread bowl, yes. Eventually, you also become privy to the actual proper name of the castle, which is Castile Moor.
Castile Moor.
Yes. If anyone wants to write this down, CAI.
CAI. Curveball already.
STEAL.
STEAL.
Space. MOR.
MOR.
Castile Moor.
More, because that's if I don't know where I learned that from, but anything to do with the island of Moor.
It's spelled differently.
It is spelled ever so slightly differently. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe there's some sort of connection.
Is that a like a Gaelic spelling?
That is Gaelic spelling.
Yeah. Okay. When you first said Castile, I was expecting like the Spanish spelling, and I was like, ooh, I wonder if there's some like what's the province that Paolo Epimeth is from?
Epimeth was from Alterstill.
Alterstill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Epimeth was from
Epimeth is
Alterstill.
yeah.
Yes.
I was wondering. Anyway, got it.
Yeah.
Good instincts on the fucking
Classic Gaelic.
though.
Yeah. Classic Gaelic.
Classic Gaelic, bro. Gaelic. You're Gaelic.
So good. Fuck. Okay, so eventually you come upon the well protected Castile Moor at the sort of top of this tiered city. There are a handful of people that are still ushering into the castle itself, and there seems to be a little mini battalion of Crown's Guard here that are in the process of just, you know, checking in with people who, you know, have their papers that you presented already. You see that they do seem to be in the process of like, it seems to be, as far as you guys can tell, more ceremonial, or just like maybe they're just going through the motions of like patting people down, or just being like, oh, okay, like, you know, checking through people's belongings. And it's not like anything more than just like, you know, like people at, you know, TSA who like don't give a fuck, and they're just like, all right, get the fuck out of here. And so eventually it is your turn to arrive at the front, you know, gates of Castile Moor.
I kind of give like a knowing glance to Kaz, like,
word.
I'll have left my weapons at home, but I will have my wine glass with me.
Sure, sounds good. And Autolycus just sort of looks over to you, a little bit nervous still, and says,
Right. So when we get in there, just, you know, stay low to the ground as best you can. You know,
I turn to kill. Not literally. Do not.
I withdraw and fall to the
right. Okay. Hello.
and he just sort of like,
Hey, I'm kidding. I'm down here.
Oh, okay. Great. Maybe don't do that.
We'll follow your lead.
Okay. Even so, just be yourselves, but also be cool.
Well,
Do not.
maybe rephrase a little bit.
Okay.
Be yourselves, but quiet and not touching everything.
Sure. Just up until the point where, you know, it is time for us to relay our story.
Understood.
Hey, it's gonna be fine.
Yes.
Stand up tall. You're not only are you the representative of ABERL-ARC, but you're a hero from the fucking shit we just did, and you're a fucking hero from the 10s. So stand up tall. It'll be fine.
We're all gonna be okay. Can I roll for deception?
for sure. You can.
That's gonna be a 24.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yes. Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi-ho.
And he just sort of begins to usher forward. The Crown's Guard do sort of check you all out. They all do so at disadvantage because none of them give a fuck.
This is unrelated, but I forget. Is he a blue dragonborn or a sapphire dragonborn?
He is a. I could be wrong. I thought he was silver.
I don't think we've included gem dragonborn.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was a silver dragonborn, but let me check. Off the top of my head.
Yeah, you might be right. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, because the blue dragonborn was the one you fucked, I think.
You fuck.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
she
Can't
was
forget her.
blue.
Okay, so silver is the metal one that's related to blue, right? That's the cold damage. Silver is.
Oh
gold.
yeah, they both do cold. I'm pretty sure. Actually, blue might be
I think it's
lightning or thunder.
silver. I think it's, well, at least in older
you're
versions,
right.
it's white and silver. Blue
Yeah.
is like brass or something like that.
Okay.
That's one of the weird metals, I think.
Yeah.
Doesn't really
I think
matter.
They're both thunder or lightning.
Can't remember.
To be honest, I was mostly wondering
is
if
on a cool-
Autolycus
okay.
is the same dragonborn as Lorelei.
What's the
Gotcha.
cooldown say?
It doesn't.
Oh, it just says cooldown. Okay.
Yeah.
You could probably look that up if you pull up the stream. Yeah.
Zal, don't spend a lot of time on that. If
On
it's-
what? Oh, I'm pretty sure it's silver. I'm pretty sure he's a silver dragon.
Okay.
Okay. So, eventually, you arrive in the interior of Castle Moor, and here you see and hear many beautiful sights and sounds. This is a structure that none of you have ever seen akin to before this. Indigo, you almost feel a sense of familiarity in some ways with this place. Not in the place exactly, but just this sort of like idea of being present in a court. It's like this the weirdest sense of deja vu that you can get. Michaela, you might have to look in the actual channel rewards and on Twitch. It's this weird sense of deja vu, and you can't quite place your finger on it, but you feel very comfortable here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with whatever instincts kind of guide me while I'm here.
Yeah, I love that.
General philosophy, probably.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Especially here, it's like, yeah, this is I'm home.
Yes.
This is where I'm,
Eventually, you all sort of begin to meander your way about this crowd of many different well-to-do folk here in this sort of main, large, almost ballroom-like interior of this sort of front room or main sort of room of the castle. There's no foyer necessarily, or if this is technically the foyer, it's the biggest foyer that you've ever seen or experienced. It's legitimately like this giant ballroom with many different hallways leading to the right and to the left, and then this grand staircase in front of it. It's probably like a total of anywhere between like 300 square feet. No, that's not right. 300 by 300, so that would be
Yeah,
what?
300 square feet is not that big.
No. It would be like 300 by 300 feet. So is that just?
That's 90,000.
Is it really?
300 times 300.
I think that tracks.
Then not that.
It's like a square football field would be like 90,000 square feet, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's 100 feet by 100 feet then.
Okay.
Yeah. 10,000 square feet.
That checks.
Yeah. It's a very, very large foyer, for lack of a better term. On the edges of which, in between each of the hallway entrances on the right and left, there are many different sort of bar stations with countertops and seats on the sides of where you can see there are many different attendants and servers and whatnot, just sort of giving out drinks and attending to any patrons who might want to, sustain themselves with food or drink.
yes, please.
There is a live band that seems to be playing in the upper right corner that have like a little bit of an elevated stage that seem to be very popular. And it's rather lively here. As far as you can tell, there are many different types of people here. There are a lot of humans, but many, if not nearly every race of folk is represented here. With the exception of Kill, you do not notice any other additional turtles here. And Inigo, you don't notice any fey folk just sort of out of the, out of first glance. But Kaz, you do see many other tiefling. I mean, you probably don't share any sort of, maybe you do. You don't really necessarily share any sort of kinship or affinity feelings to other tieflings, but you are, at the very least, as far as you can tell, represented in whatever case here. So,
I mean, listen, I've mentioned it before that Kaz looks like he just stepped out of a goddamn portal because he is very strong, devilish blood. So I think not being the only one that looks like he might actually be some sort of devil is very nice.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, because I know chat was asking about this. So, Michaela, are you on Twitch itself?
I looked on that. They said there's a limit of 3,
Yes.
which we have not reached.
Okay.
No timer. So.
Huh, interesting. Pull it up one more time, just real quick, if you can.
I can go through.
Someone try to do another wild search.
No, come on.
No, that's crazy.
would never-
Why would
I
they
just
do
want to make
that?
sure that they're able
Not
to.
They never
So
do
manage
that.
rewards and
Time to do
challenge. Manage rewards, whatever.
It's sort of
It's not like they
court
definitely wait for this
sort of court politics situation.
Yeah,
That'd
just
be all-
suddenly.
I don't know why they would want to do it now.
Well, we could topple the world government if a meteor storm just happened right now.
Redemptions per stream limit.
Can you imagine it? I want it to be something really innocent but incredibly
cooldown
disturbing.
and limit. Just
like everyone
unclick
is
it,
suddenly
fuck it.
covered
Unclick
with
that and then
viscera
save.
from an
There
unknown
you go.
location. Like
Should be fine now, everybody.
no, like everyone's fine. Blood
me.
and guts everywhere.
All right, y'all. It should be fine now. If it doesn't, reload your page and whatever. Okay. So, while you guys, there doesn't seem to be, the king does not seem to be present right now. There seems to be a handful of people here, probably anywhere between, 50 and like 70 people just sort of schmoozing around here.
Is there an obvious probably that's where the king will emerge, or
There's
like
a grand staircase
Okay.
towards the front of the room, and with like a giant gilded door at the top of it. So, if anywhere, probably there. Who knows?
Are there any the other people that are in here? Are there any of them sporting any obvious banners or symbology? I'm just curious if the delegations are representing in you know what I mean.
Make a perception check.
22.
22. You spent some time really keeping your eye out. You do notice that a handful of people just sort of side eye you, not in any sort of antagonistic way,
Yeah.
but just
Oh shit.
oh fuck,
Yeah.
there's a turtle here. And as you're sort of looking past them or through them or whatever, you spot a handful of interesting, not necessarily banners, but there's a handful of people with different types of what seem to be too specific of imagery embroidered on some of their really fine clothes. You don't recognize really any of these things, but there's every once in a while you catch someone. Not everybody has this. Very few people, as far as you can tell, have different types of iconography embroidered on their chest.
Cloaks or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
There's some people who have them on. Some people sport this really stylish. Well, you don't know if it's stylish or not, but I'm telling you it is. Sort of stylish shoulder half cloak.
Yeah.
And a lot of them will have a little emblem on the front and on the back, and the same. That's sort of it's right on their really everywhere. It's on their chest.
Okay.
Whether it be sewn into their tunic or that shoulder cloak or what have you.
If I've seen a bunch of people with side cloaks, can I just spin my heavy cloak
Yeah,
so
you
it's just
certainly
hanging
can.
off
Sure.
one side?
Sure.
Yeah.
No problem. That's really
I
funny.
just look around. I'm like,
Yep.
and I'm just sort of pleased with myself, and I go walking around
Yeah.
now I'm the peak of fashion.
Of course.
Yeah.
Kaz and Nigo, is there anything in particular that you guys want to?
I will say that Autolycus, I don't mean to overstep. May I sort of do a little bit of mingling, sort of gauge the situation here, if it's all right with you?
No, please do. Yes.
Oh, yes.
I'm a little out of my element. There's someone who perhaps might be here that I actually do know. So I'm going to look around for them for a moment now that I think about it.
Now you said you didn't know anybody here, so is it someone traveling?
I don't know. Well, I don't necessarily know. I don't think that he. I don't think that he resides in the capital.
Yeah.
But an old war buddy of mine.
Oh, cool.
Now that I think of it, would be in unless he retired, but he didn't. As far as I know, he didn't have plans of doing that. But rose through. I would assume he would rose through the stations wherever he was. So I'm going to look for him.
Would you like me to ask around for him as well?
No, that's all right. If I don't necessarily know what I'd say or if I'd say. Just might be nice to just sort of.
Sounds very intriguing, Autolycus. I have to admit.
I'm not. To be honest with you, I'm not in the most amicable is the wrong word. I'm just out of my element right now, so I don't even know if I could carry a conversation even with an old friend. So
why don't you have another sip?
I will. Thank you.
And he just starts sipping on it, and he quickly realizes that he can continue to sip, and it seems to never end. And he's like,
Yeah, it's weird how that happens.
What is this?
It's my wine. It's the wine that I have.
It's very good. And he sort of passes it back to you.
It's the wine that I have.
So yeah, I'll kind of just mill about, sort of like make conversation, sort of be gregarious and sort of, hello everyone, what's going on?
Sure.
Does he? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no.
That's basically it.
I was just gonna say, does he seem to me to be like maybe he's actually more nervous about meeting this person than he is about being out of the element?
Make an insight check.
20, 30, 20.
You can't necessarily tell like what exactly he's nervous about. You can tell he's gotten even more nervous now that he's actually in the thick of it.
Sure.
He seems to be, this endeavor of his, this personal endeavor, seems to be more of a grounding mechanism or a coping mechanism, as far as you can tell.
Yeah.
He's looking for some sort of familiarity.
Okay. Got it. Okay, cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna get myself a drink.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And Kaz.
Something about being here is kind of disturbing to him, so he's actually a little bit like not as bravado, not as much like sarcasm. He's just kind of like following.
Okay.
I guess Autolycus.
Sure. I love that. Okay, well, Indigo, go ahead and just give me a performance check, buddy.
I'm also, as I'm just walking around to get a drink and stuff, I'm definitely doing that like Aang thing when he's on Fire Island where he's like Hotman. Yeah, I'm just like addressing people in a very friendly way, but probably in a strange way. You know?
Hotman, of course. I love it.
25.
25. Indigo, you quickly become this sort of charismatic force as you move through these people. You're immediately in your element. Now that you've sort of been given this sort of blessing to just sort of go and be you. And you quickly begin to charm people left and right. You introduce yourself. You swap these sort of really lovely anecdotes every once in a while, just like trying to connect with as many people as possible. And there's one person in particular, actually, that sort of catches your attention.
Oh no.
This place is called Castile Moore. I was once balls deep in a morpho. I can only tell you about it.
It's you, Ott. He's here.
You seem to meet what? Oh, Yoke. Yeah, Yoke. Shouts out.
Yoke's here.
You seem to meet a fellow that has this really beautiful sort of almost like rose-colored skin. He has a entirely bald head, really soft features about his face as well.
It's Majin Buu.
It's Majin Buu. Really bright blue eyes, and he has like this really light sort of silverish facial hair and eyebrows as well. It's not too much more than like a 5 o'clock shadow, kind of like what myself or Matt has going on. But you introduce yourself and sort of get to interact with this person who seems to not really be surrounded by too many other people. He seems to just sort of be off to the side, but you're sort of making your way through, and he introduces himself as, he says, "Well, it is a pleasure to meet you. I am Palisar.
Spell that, please.
P-A-L--ASSAR.
Palisar.
Minister of Embassy.
Minister of Embassy. What on earth is that? That sounds very interesting.
Well, you can say that I am the lead representative of the Crown of Naledi. I venture forth to the Maritums, to Ferrispur, and any other foreign lands to establish more intimate connections for our sovereign ruler.
Ooh, you're sort of a cultural attaché then.
You could say that, yes.
Very interesting.
I have to admit, I've met many folk in my life, but you are perhaps the second satyr that I've ever come across.
Really? What was the first?
Oh, this old fawn of a satyr. He was a bit of a rambunctious fellow, as far as I recall. Met him.
Tell.
Yes, met him deep into the Maritums. Called a certain island his own home. Refused to establish any sort of connection with the crown, so I let him be. Very interesting fellow. I forget his name. It's been a while. I apologize.
Do you recall which island he was on?
Oh, one of the unnamed ones. We were just sort of traveling through. There are many unnamed islands in the Maritums. It's sort of an archipelago.
Well, I have to admit, I have a bit of a lost connection to my own sort of culture, so I would love to meet another satyr sometime.
Oh, well, if you ever travel far enough south, southwest, really, I'm sure you could find him if you look hard enough. A satyr in the Maritums is a little odd, as a satyr is here in Cassil
Well,
Moor.
we're all a little bit odd, in some form or another.
Very true, very true. So,
Wild magic.
common?
Okay.
All right, roll the D100. Who did that one?
That was me.
Oh, nice. Okay, word.
I was timing it.
Yeah, I love it. The Minister of Commerce, baby.
Indeed.
There's a lot of high ones.
Ooh.
97.
God damn. Oh, we've had this one before. And it's
Well,
paid
that's
right.
like 6, I think. Pretty
Yeah. So you, amidst the live music here, in this conversation that you're having with Palisar, you begin to hear this sort of undercut music just sort of faintly surrounding you. And Palisar just sort of, he seems to notice something. Not just the music, but he sort of like cocks an eyebrow and says, do you hear that?
Yes. It's a thing that happens with me. Yeah, things. I'm a very interesting person. A lot of interesting things seem to happen to me. Let's put it that way.
That's fascinating. Are you, I mean, by which way have you arrived here? Do you perhaps have any relation with the Prime Minister? I'm sure he would be interested to speak to someone like you.
The Prime Minister.
Yes. So, if I may not be too forward in my own research, and as far as I know, I've met a few others like you, and the Prime Minister has sort of encouraged me to let him know when I've found special folk like yourself. And if I'm not too forward, do you deal with this problem relatively or condition relatively frequently? Do you know by which you've come about this? Is this some form of spontaneous arcanum?
I believe so. Might I inquire what's the Prime Minister's name?
Yes, Prime Minister Gvern Leonon, former headmaster of the Hyrith Academy.
Sorry, it was Gren what?
Gvern
Rhiannon.
Gvern Rhiannon? Okay, have I heard that name before?
In the last
Jamie, you have. Indigo possibly has as well, but he can't remember.
I don't remember that as a player.
Gwern. Gvern.
Okay.
And then Rhiannon is Rhiannon.
Interesting. So is he? Is this gentleman currently affiliated with Hyrith at all, or is he
Sort of, as far as I know. I mean, he's a former headmaster, so I would assume that he has some sort of still connection with them. But his primary, his duties now are to the crown specifically.
Interesting. Well, if he's knowledgeable about this sort of thing, I certainly would be interested in
I'm sure he would be interested in speaking with you as well.
Yes.
Well, That's wonderful. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Yes, you as well.
Indigo, yes?
Yes, and I know your name as well.
Yes, Balasar.
Well,
Slugger.
Champ. Yeah. Attaboy. The Minister of Embassy just sort of chuckles and nods at you and says, "Well, I am going to prepare myself for the celebrations, but it was a pleasure meeting you.
Yes, you as well.
Yes, God's with you." And then he mills back about the sort of outskirts of the party. So yeah. Is there anything else that the rest of you might want to do? You're following Autolycus best you can, Kaz, and at some point Autolycus just sort of like turns to you and says, to be honest, I was just gonna go sort of separate myself for a little while, try to find the loo. I have to poop so bad.
Well, you go ahead and take care of that then. That's very important.
Where did you come from?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Oh my god, that was crazy.
I thought it was we were being back together.
Oh no, it's all good. Yes.
We had an NPC also.
Yeah, dude.
That's a good spot.
Okay.
So this is from fandom also.
Okay. Shouts out fandom. Shouts out fandom.
Her name is Sorcha.
Sorcha. Okay.
She's an Azamar light cleric following the god Tor.
Okay. One sec. Asimar, light cleric. Okay. The god Tor.
Yep.
Awesome. Fuck
Good
yeah.
research.
Fuck yeah. With your lore. I'm so proud of you, fandom.
Yep. She speaks with a light French accent, if Sal can do it.
I can try.
But has a harsher voice and personality. She's 6 foot tall, with blonde hair, a muscular frame, under medium armor.
Fantastic. Okay.
And seems to glow from within, with hair that is actually glowing.
Word.
Think General Armstrong at Briggs from
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sick reference. I'm
Exact
simping already.
direction. And what she's doing there is incoming.
Okay, they will. Okay, gotcha. Yes. Okay, good stuff. Okay, alrighty. So as Autolycus says to you that he has to poop, he immediately just sort of like removes himself. Why isn't my music playing? He removes himself from the situation best he can and just sort of begins to mill about.
Well, yeah, of course. I was gonna do the same. I mean,
as you begin to just sort of like take a look around, make a perception check for me.
sure.
Regardless of the roll, there's a person there.
We'll see.
8.
You look around and you sort of quickly find yourself alone in this sort of little sea of people. You do not necessarily know where your companions are, and it's not overwhelming by any means. It's just like, all right, and now I'm here.
I'm alone in the middle of a large crowd of well-to-do people.
We've all been at a party that we feel awkward in.
It's very true.
Well, yeah. Okay. I just sort of look around and look for like anyone to just approach.
Sure.
I'm just kind of trying to.
As you begin to sort of look around to see if you could find someone that you could probably relate to, you feel a sort of hand on your shoulder, on your left shoulder. And you sort of turn and you see this this rather beautiful looking woman who has this sort of slightly effervescent, like glowing blonde hair that sort of falls to her shoulders a little past, in what seems to be a well-to-do, like a well-polished and gilded set of what seems to be like scale mail armor. It looks a little bit more ornate than anything. You quickly sort of get like with how adept you are at close combat, you sort of get the idea like, oh, this doesn't seem like you should wear this into like a fight or anything. It makes sense that you're in more of a public sort of setting.
Right.
This is more presentatory, for lack of a better word, regalia.
Right.
She does seem to have a symbol on the scale mail on the right side of her chest, which you sort of clock with a handful of other people. It's not the same symbol by any means, but a lot of people have like little etched in symbols. This one seems to be like inlaid into the armor that she wears, which you do recognize as one of the hands of the king. It is the symbol of the god Tor. And she just sort of looks at you with these really bright eyes and says, all right, I'll try my best. Pardon me, you seem to be a bit, how do you say, lost like a little puppy dog.
I think the best part of this is that description-wise, she's like half a foot tall.
Yeah. She's looking down at you. Yeah, for sure.
It's like, mommy. Mommy.
Sorry. Mommy. Sorry.
Oh, that's fucked up for a million reasons right now. Well, yeah, I am not used to big fancy soirees. Not really my thing usually.
Neither am I. Sorry, my name is Sorcha.
Pleasure to meet you. My name is Sirikaz Thelani.
Pleasure to meet you, Sirikaz. If you wouldn't mind me asking, my patron, who I sort of serve as, how do you say, bodyguard. Well, I lost sight of her. So I'm a little bit like a lost puppy dog too. So I figured maybe we could grab a drink and just sort of look like we are, in the right place.
That actually sounds wonderful. I would love to.
Great. This way?
Right, yeah, of course.
What brings you to the capital?
There was some sort of it's sort of a long story. A lot of things happened in ABERL-ARC, actually, that I was a part of with some friends of mine, and we're here to sort of let the king know of some major events.
Interesting. Well, I think that well, certainly my patron would be very interested in this. Are you from the provinces or?
Oh no, I spent most of my life on ships. Can't really properly say I'm from anywhere. Just trying to make my way through life.
Right.
What about you? Who's your patron? Did you?
Oh, right. Sorry. Yes, I serve under the Minister of Devotion, Urias.
I'm gonna need you to repeat that and also tell me.
Word. Minister of Devotion.
Minister of Devotion. Okay.
And she pronounces their name as Urias, but they are normally, like in a usual common accent, Urias. Urias.
Okay. The Minister of Devotion, is that something to do with religion?
Right, yes. They are the, how do I put this? Sort of the divine speaker of the Hand of the King. So they sort of divine guidance for King Ailton, and serve as sort of a beacon of light for the people.
Well, the head of the king. Weird non sequitur, out left field question. Have you ever heard of something called the Hand of Hell?
The Hand of Hell. It's a natural 20.
Ooh.
She says, the Hand of Hell. Urias mentioned something about that not too long ago. I think, if I remember correctly, there was someone going by that name, that title, Hand of Hell. It was some time ago. I heard that they. Are you familiar with the Five of Hells?
It sounds somewhat familiar. Might have heard it in passing somewhere.
something connected between the two of them, as far as I recall. I think sometime before the war, there was some incident in the northern part of Naledi, where it's something that has to do with the disappearance of the town of Red Keep. I can't remember the story off the top of my head, but the town of Red Keep was a rather prominent city in the what was the Tanland of Umbra. I forgot my own accent for a moment. What was the Tanland of Umbra? There was some sort of unfortunate incident there, and shortly after, someone. This was just before the war, as far as I recall. Someone had appeared there, and some sort of ritual or chaotic incident occurred. I can't recall the details, I'm sorry. If Reyes is around here somewhere, surely I could ask them. But as far as I recall, the town just sort of disappeared. The entire ridge of the northern cliffs of the Crimson Cliffs were. How do I put this? They disappeared. The cliffs itself, it's like part of it was ripped out. There's nothing there anymore. Just blank space. Even the ground was uprooted. And the cliffs, it's sort of this crater.
Right. What does this have to do with the Five of Hells?
I think they were a part of something that had something to do with that, as far as I recall. But that was the last anyone had heard of someone or someone doing something under that name, as far as I recall. The only reason why it sticks out to me is because Urias had just recently spoken to me about something like that. Like, I'm sorry, I can't recall the details, but Urias had just, they brought it up at some point. I think it was, honestly, I honestly think it was just an anecdote for some odd story or other. They speak in sort of riddles as far as I can tell.
Right. Well, you know what? It's a lot of interesting information. It's more than I had when I entered the conversation.
Huh. Well, I'm happy to be of service.
I appreciate it.
A drink then?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. And you and Sorsha go find a drink, and as you do, you actually approach one of the bars that Kill seems to be settled himself at. Kill, you at this point are about a cup into a nice, very, very refreshing and interesting cup of ale that you've received. No one seems to be willing to just sort of like shoot the shit with you. Everyone around there sort of is like cleared a little bit. That just out of like, you know, everyone that you've noticed with your like passive insight and perception just seems to be like, I don't know how to interact with you, so I'm just gonna not like, I'm gonna not. But your companion Kaz approaches you with this radiant woman next to him, and she speaks up to the barkeep and she says, "Barkeep, two ales for myself and my friend here."
Well, thank you, appreciate that.
Of course. And she sort of like notices the giant turtle. It's just sort of at the bar and says, "Gods above, it is a turtle."
Well, yeah, that's actually that's my friend Kill.
You know each other?
Yeah, we've been traveling together for a little bit.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, Kill.
How's it going?
You know, it's going great. Kill, Sorcha, Kill.
Hi, Sorchin. Nice
Pleasure to meet you.
People here are very shy, I noticed.
Yes, a lot of them are how do I say this? Sheltered. Probably have never seen someone like you before.
I am quite the specimen, I know.
Yes, you are a sight to behold, for sure.
As are you, I should say.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes. I sort of get the same reception. So you are not alone.
Hey, Kat, how's it feel to be like the least weird one around for once?
Yeah, I've got to be honest. It's kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
There are many tiefling in the city. It became a sort of a safe haven for many folk that were dispersed because of the tins. And unfortunately, due to the sort of sporadic nature of you know, the tiefling people, they began to gather here, and it's become a wonderful sort of melting pot for many of the folk around the realm. So it's very nice to be in Clonvale.
Absolutely, it's very very diverse. And you know what? Usually, I've met quite a few tieflings. Well, not rare, but like to be quite this tieflish, I suppose, is a little rare. I found.
Not to be horrid, but yes, you are the most tieflish person I've ever met. I see.
Just imagine someone being like, "You look very Italian."
And she says,
But I can relate. You know, they're not. There are a few others who share the same sort of bloodline that I do, and it does not manifest as flamboyantly as mine does. So I understand. I can't imagine you've seen many of your kind around here, unfortunately.
No.
It's a little further inland than I would suspect maybe someone of your people might go.
Yeah, it's you know, we definitely like to get around, but I think maybe from what I've experienced so far since I've been here, it's maybe not as hospitable to my people. Just
It's a bit cold,
just
yeah.
kind of. Well, I was thinking more like culturally, but that too.
Right.
You know, I'm starting to get a little bit more used to it, but I think you know, maybe some of my cousins kind of pack up and move on quickly. You know.
Sure. Yes, understandable. Well, it has been a pleasure. Is there anyone else that you've been traveling with? I know Sidak has his sort of alluded to what it is that you're doing here.
Well, if you want to find a third party member, if you will, give me one moment. I just like stand up on a chair and just kind of like look over the crowd.
make a perception check with advantage since you're looking over the crowd.
Damn right. 21.
21. Yeah, you very quickly catch Indigo sort of in the tail end of a conversation with a sort of rose-skinned looking individual with a bald head. Seems to be in the process of laughing at one of Indigo's sort of remarks or something like that, and they sort of amicably, like, you know, part ways as he begins to move through the crowd, and Indigo just sort of turns and just takes a swath of wine from his chalice.
I just does he clock me? Are we locking eyes, or is this just?
Make a perception check for me, Indigo.
13.
13. Yeah, I mean, it's relatively easy to see since Kaz is standing on top of a stool, essentially, not too far away from you. It's at the second closest bar, sort of in your line of sight, and you sort of see Kaz standing up on a stool.
Yes.
Really easy to see. And the barkeep says, "Sir, could you please?"
My apologies. I just have.
It's all right. Understandable. Just don't want anyone to hurt themselves.
Right, of course.
See, they told me to be on my best behavior, but you know, see me standing up on tables.
Oh, it's some. To be totally honest with you, I've seen some of the delegates get even more rambunctious.
Just like that, huh?
Yeah, some of them can get a little deep in the cups.
Well, let's hope so.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Anyway, and I turn to Sorcha. You'll see a satyr with sort of, it's more of a violet robe. His name's Indigo.
Wonderful. Indigo, do you approach?
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, and she sort of like looks beyond you. Is that him? Points over to Indigo, who is making his way
there
over.
he is.
Yes. Awesome. And Indigo, you join this little reception, and you meet Sorcha as I've described them.
I pass out 3 ales that I ordered, so that we all have the same drink.
Yes, hello. Pleasure to meet you.
My name is Sorcha. I've heard you are Indigo.
Yes, that's right. That's quite right.
A pleasure. Yes.
Cheers to the 4 people in the room that stand out the most.
Yes.
Salute. Yes.
All right.
To attention.
At this point, you begin to hear the band sort of transition from this more lively music to sort of like this more undertone of a. It seems like they're building towards something. Like it's more percussive and rhythmic a little bit, but it's less. It's less like dancey music and more like now they're building into some sort of
It's kind of like
crescendo.
everybody take note. Something's about to happen.
Yeah. And you see the crowd, the reception party, just begin to slowly like recognize this in turn, and they all begin to sort of face the grand staircase at this point. And Sorcha says, "Oh, right. I believe the ceremony is starting. I'm not entirely sure where Minister Urias is. I'm sure it won't be a problem if you wouldn't mind my company. I will stay with you for the duration."
Yeah, by all means.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Lovely company.
Wonderful.
Yes. And at this point, the band starts to crescendo into this sort of eruption of sound, and the drums begin to really perforate the room, and then sort of this beautiful brass trumpeting announcement, sort of like
Fanfare.
yeah, a lot of fanfare situation going on. And the gilded doors at the top of the massive staircase, everyone seems to be really anticipatory. They begin to open, and a relatively well-dressed, older gentleman with like a very well-groomed mustache, very small glasses that sort of sit at the edge of his nose. He's a rotund man, certainly, with a this sort of collar that like sits just under the folds of his jowls. He is certainly well fed, has this sort of bald head with very intense features about his face. He's got this like really well tailored for his shape, sort of almost like it doesn't follow the fashion of what you see around here. A lot of it is very North Naledian, sort of like Umbrian province like cuts of things, but this seems to be like more like old-fashioned, a little bit more like loose-fitting, but still tailored really well. Lots of dark, sort of earthy colors about this, like very. It seems like something like a carpenter would wear to like a nicer event that like maybe this is all they could afford. It's like understated, but there's something about it that is like, it almost like commands people's attention because of how common it looks. And this gentleman emerges from these gilded doors, of which there are 2 Crown's Guard that shut the doors behind him, and everyone, the band, and everyone sort of comes to a silence. And Kill, because of your perception, you notice Sorcha seems sort of visually confused a little bit. She doesn't say anything, but she just sort of is like, huh, that's weird. And the gentleman just sort of has his hands folded in front of him, and he begins to speak, and his voice fills the room. Like, you can, as far as you can see from here, he's a little ways away, but like he doesn't seem to be straining at all. It's very similar to Kaz's sort of thaumaturgic, thuming voice, but it's not overbearing by any means. It's just his voice is so loud that it just sort of comfortably hits everyone's ears no matter where they are. And he begins, and he says, "Welcome, everyone. I am sure that it is a bit of a disappointment to be seeing my face here rather than the handsome couple and the young prince. King Eodrin sends his regards. Unfortunately, he will not be able to attend this ceremony tonight, but as active Prime Minister serving under him, I will be conducting tonight's festivities. For those of you that do not know, you may call me Prime Minister Vern Rhiannon. I hope you all have a wonderful time. Now, our delegation, if we could begin and then get to the festivities as soon as possible. Those of you who are invited to the special meeting, you may follow me this way." And he turns, and the Gilded doors open back up once again, and he begins to walk through, and a handful of the random single people of these, different provinces, lords and ladies, begin to make their way to the grand staircase, as others are just sort of very confusingly just like turning and like mumbling to themselves about like, I wonder why the royal family has not appeared, and Sorsha sort of actively, it's very odd. This is usually a large event. Very surprised that the king, the queen, and the young prince will not be making a appearance. I hope everything is alright. At this point, Autolycus sort of is caught up to you all. He seems to be like very anxiously like adjusting himself and says, "Alright, I guess that's us. Shall we go?"
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. And he just sort of like very awkwardly like bows his head like or whatever, and she's like, "Oh no, it's quite alright. Hopefully we can meet up afterwards. If you see my master in there, let them know that I was looking for them, or that we ran into each other. I'm sure Urias will be at the gathering." So.
Well, yeah, and I wanted to pick his brain, so I do hope we run into each other very soon.
Sure. Their brain.
What?
Their brain.
Oh, their brain. My apologies.
It's alright. Right. Tall with you. And Sorsha just sort of continues about whatever she was doing earlier, trying to find Urias, but she probably knows that they're fucking off somewhere. So, all right. Well done, fandom. You just added another member of the really higher ups in the town. So who knows if Sorsha will really be doing some badass shit, which I'm sure she will. So fuck yeah. So you guys begin to make your way through this sort of crowd of very confused, well-to-do folk here. Everybody make perception checks.
15.
13. 13.
12.
Really my pass.
12. Gotcha. You guys all just sort of, as you're passing through, you try your best to sort of clock, keep your ear out for anything interesting that you might be hearing. I mean, you all sort of recognize that this seems to be very abnormal. This meeting happens like annually. So, this seems to have not happened before. A lot of people seem to be very concerned about the royal family. Gvern was obviously very vague about anything. He just sort of said like, "Hey, they won't be here. I'll take care of you. Yeah, let's get this done." It seems like they were expecting a lot more fanfare, a lot more like ceremonial sort of pageantry about this. And then Gvern just sort of showed up and was like, "All right, we're getting this shit done," and that's it.
All right, guys, come on.
Yeah, and so everyone sort of is like blue balled right now, and everyone's like, "Thought this was gonna be like a crazy fucking party or whatever, like what happened last year." You know what I mean? So that's sort of the vibe that you're getting as you're sort of passing through. At this point, you've reached sort of the top of the staircase, and one of the Crown's Guard essentially just sort of like halts you for a moment and says, delegation from, and Autolycus says, oh, the Black Belt, representatives of ABERL-ARC. All 4 of you? And Autolycus says, it is quite pertinent that all 4 of us are present. Yes, we have very, very important news to relay to His Majesty. You see that the Crown's Guard is slightly suspicious of this or a little off-put. Is there anything that any of you might like to do to assist Autolycus in just sort of trying to gain all 4 of you access to this meeting?
I do want to say something, and I feel like this might be sort of intimidation.
Okay.
But listen, if you want to kick 2 of us out, 3 of us out, whatever, that's fine. But you should know that they're gonna want us in there as soon as we start relaying information. So that's not gonna look really good on you, being the one sort of kicking us out. I'm sure it's not a big deal. I mean, if you've not caused any trouble in your position before, it's not like they're gonna fire you or anything.
So
right?
good.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Get a warning or something.
Yeah. Go ahead and make intimidation with advantage, since you are being aided by Autolycus's situation, and then Indigo sort of is like being around to back you up.
23.
23. He just sort of like blinks at you, and then is just like looks down for a second. Right. Well, you're welcome in. Just be under P's and Q's. And he just sort of like, you could see in his face that he's like thinking about that time that he did fuck up that one time. And he's just kind of like, oh fuck. And so you are quickly sort of
Just as I walk away, I just go, we all make mistakes.
He seems to just sort of be in his own business at this point, trying to like fucking put that in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
But you see him just sort of
about that all the time. Bye.
Anyway, see ya. I'm sure no one talks about that. All right, see ya. I love that. Autolycus just sort of, you can see as you're getting closer and closer to, at this point that you've passed through the Gilded Doors, you can see that you're passing through this like gorgeous courtyard area that is sort of wreathed by a really beautiful like pathway on either side, but in the center of which is this like sort of open ceilingless really beautiful greenery little courtyard, that garden-ish area that you're sort of walking down a beautiful little cobblestone path through. There are a handful of attendants to the garden, a bunch of gardeners. There are many different types of avian creatures in this garden that sort of seem to fly in and out.
Is this like a rooftop garden? Like they're like planted in like flower beds, or is it like okay?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a handful of folk that are just sort of walking through. Really think like when you get to like, if you've been to the zoo anytime soon or whatever, there's that like really wonderful little pathway that you can walk through where they have like a bunch of the kangaroos and stuff that are just like around. There's like peacocks everywhere, and there are actual peacocks here as well too, and like really beautiful exotic animals and mostly birds around here. Ooh.
Spooky noise is still on there?
I forgot to take off spooky noise.
Did y'all hear that?
Autolycus is like, what the fuck?
Oh, that is excellent.
God damn it. I forgot how I could take that off. Spooky noise. That's so funny. I love that. I might leave that on. That's fucking hilarious. Ooh.
Well, are there like people are making their way up to like a table? Or like
no, the rest of the hall, it's just like you continue through, and then you can see that it continues on deeper into the castle on a separate hallway on the other side.
Oh, I see. So we aren't meeting here. We're walking through.
Yes,
here.
you're walking through.
As we're walking through, because I can't help myself.
Yes.
I'm gonna cast Speak with Plants.
Okay. What are the components for Speak with Plants?
Visual and somatic.
Verbal and somatic.
Yeah,
Visual.
verbal and somatic. Yeah.
Visual and
Yeah, and the way I'm envisioning this is like I like can't help myself but to just sort of like go and check out like the plants, and so as people are like making their way down the hall, I'm just sort of like kind of distracted and sort of wandering away from the crowd a little bit. And so and then I'll cast it.
Sure. You begin to mutter the incantation and sort of move your hands around as you begin to walk forward, and you immediately feel a hand on your shoulder, the sort of scaled, clawed, silver hand of Autolycus that just sort of kill, and he like urgently just sort of grabs you.
Yeah, buddy.
But please do not whatever it is that you're doing, just restrain yourself, please.
My friend, any amount of magic going on in the fucking area here is likely to cause damage to a bunch of very important people. I know you're not going to do anything, but if they see someone, going ooh with the fucking hands and shit.
I mean, I'm looking right at this plant. Like, wow.
It's a bad look. It's a bad look, mate.
I know. Perhaps after our meeting, you could gain permission to sort of go about doing this, but it is not something that you can necessarily just sort of do out of the blue.
If I pulled out a machete to chop some weeds right now, that would look pretty fucking bad,
Well, yeah. But that's a
Not
Not
a
everyone
machete.
understands how magic works. Understand? They could be
I
like,
barely
but,
understand.
Like, who knows what
I
they're
could
doing,
do some.
all right. Fine.
Thank you. Like I said, we could ask for permission to do this. I'm sure, and I'm sure they'll grant it. You mean no harm.
Whatever. This place sucks.
Right. Okay.
Better give away some thaumaturgy.
Let us continue.
And you can see Autolycus is like visually even more like, oh, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Fantasy Jesus Christ. And he just like continues forward. Real Jesus Christ. Yeah. Oh, get wrecked.
Got him. Got him.
Most popular religion in the country.
Okay, so you continue forward until you eventually make your way through and out of the this sort of rooftop garden courtyard, and eventually you get up to this sort of secondary hallway, and you begin to pass through, and there are a wall-to-wall coverage of beautiful artwork on the ceiling. It's painted directly onto the ceiling and onto the walls of just depictions of gorgeous landscapes and victory sort of portraits from the War of the Tens, singular just sort of bust portraits of the royal family and other members of the court of Naledi as well. This is like a hallway of purely design and art. It's really, really beautiful. There are other little sculpted busts and statues that sort of line this really wide hallway here as well. And there are a handful of other gilded doors that sort of exist on the sides every once in a while that you're passing through this long hallway. And there are armed Crownsguard on sort of, at any like little individual place, any sort of entrance and exit. You can see there are two fully equipped, full plate, well-armed guards at sort of every juncture. And you continue forward until eventually you can see that there is this sort of open door at the end of this hallway. There are two paths like just to the side of them that sort of forks into two other hallways that you could traverse down, but you see that there's essentially like a very small single file like line of people that are sort of ushering themselves into this open doored room. There a handful of them are well dressed and everything, and each of them have sort of a different emblem either on their cloak or their actual vestments. And Autolycus sort of says,
Okay, looks like that we are here. Could I ask you for a favor?
Sure.
Does anyone want to just sort of lead the way instead of me? Please?
How is it all right if I handle this?
I think that might be the best case scenario.
Yeah, why not?
Poop so bad again.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. You. Okay. Yes. I will.
Yeah.
Tackle this.
I offend everyone all the time, so you might as well do the talking.
Real quick, I do want to establish. Is there anything we're? Wait. How alone are we right now?
Not like super alone, but if you keep your voice down, you could probably.
Okay. Is there anything that we maybe don't want to make a part of this sort of presentation, or are we sort of putting it all out there?
I mean, I've said my piece about Rennie. That's the only thing that I'm like,
Right.
But
As far as the whole
otherwise,
Five of Hills thing, we can bring that up if we want to.
I don't know.
I don't know why not.
What do you think?
Okay.
I think we should tell them as much as we can, whenever you feel appropriate. I would hate for us to walk away from this, thinking we should have told them more.
No, of course. Nothing to really hide then.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I mean, what's the worst case scenario? Unless they're like in support of the Five of Hells for
Yes,
some reason,
unless they're.
which seems fucking mental.
well, here's what I'll here. How about this? We're like huddled up, to strategy, whatever. All right. Well, you do the talking, because my concern is they didn't come and get rid of these guys, even though they probably knew that. Like, they must have known who was running this place. It's been years. So my concern is maybe they are part of it, or at least somebody here is part of it. So I'll just say you do the talking. Maybe just keep it simple. Bottom line is there was somebody that we felt was the wrongful ruler, and so we were able to usurp them, and
He also destroyed half the town.
he destroyed half the town. And then, like, while you're talking, I'm just gonna try to pay attention and see like how it makes him feel, And how about this? If I kind of scratch like my beard with my left hand, that'll mean you never noticed I got the kind of the I have this like basically 5 o'clock shadow with it's like made out of like lichen.
It's just never been referred to as a beard. So
Yeah.
You'll do that if you think.
Yeah, if I do like my left hand scratch, then that means like they seem to be like kind of sketchy.
Okay.
And if I do like my right hand scratch, they seem to be like kind of genuine and like on our side.
All right. Good to know.
Okay.
And then, so yes, I've got this.
Wonderful. Okay. I'm gonna be holding it in.
Lovely. Let's go.
And you continue forward, and you quickly realize that what you assume to be like a big round table meeting, this room seems to be like an office room, kind of like a little study room as far as you can tell, and it's small, and like most of you are like, or not most of you, you're all just like kind of crowded in here, that it's like maybe, well, with an addition to you, it makes it 12, but there are 8 other sort of well-to-do folk in here, and which you assume probably they all represent a province, or maybe a couple of them represent a single province of Naledian. You're not too familiar. Kaz, you don't necessarily see anyone that would probably fit the bill to be Urias. You don't see Palisar here either. The other members of the what's the word I'm looking for? Jesus Christ.
Court.
Oh, thank you, the court. I kept thinking crown in my head. The other members of the court don't seem to be present here. It just seems to be Prime Minister Rhiannon, who's just sitting behind a desk in a very mundane room, not like on a throne or anything like that, or like it's just like it looks like a normal. It's probably smaller than Ibrahim's study. And he just sort of sits behind this, and everyone's just sort of standing there, like looking around, like the fuck is going on? Like this
So
is
it's
not
just him and us. That's it. Just
And the delegates.
the delegates.
Yeah, the 4 of you and the other 8 delegates.
Gotcha.
There are 2 Crownsguard on the outside of the door. 2. The doors are open. It's a double door. It's a very small room. If you feel a little cramped in here. Autolycus is like sort of like at the threshold of the door because he takes up a lot of space like Kill, but because like they're both in there and there is not another Dragonborn in here, everyone's just sort of crammed in, and Autolycus is just sort of like trying to take up less space. And Gavern just sort of
Right. Welcome. So I realize this is very unusual. You see, we've had all sorts of unfortunate instances lately, and the king and the royal family need to rest. They have lots of different things to attend to. So it's going to be a bit different this year. We will not be holding a grand meeting. I will simply attend to any of your concerns privately, and we will do so one at a time. Does that sound good? And the delegates just sort of like look at each other in like, this is highly, it's as far as you guys are concerned, this is highly irregular. As far as what you can glean from any of the other delegates. And Gvern says, right, well, so who's first? And everyone just sort of is like, what the fuck? Like what?
And he seems very just relaxed. And
yeah, he seems like this is like fine. He doesn't see a problem with this. And he's just sort of like eagerly waiting anybody to like say anything. Come on, don't be shy.
Well, very well then. I shall volunteer first. Hello. My name is Indigo. I'm here speaking on behalf of the town of ABERL-ARC in the Blackweld.
Ah, wonderful. I do not recognize you, but
yes, well, that is a bit of the relates to the matter I wanted to discuss. Are you all familiar with the events in ABERL-ARC recently?
No, but I'm eager to hear.
Yes.
All right, the rest of you, wait your turn. And he just sort of waves, and everyone is just like, what? And like, he's just like, single file, come on. These are private matters. And they all just sort of like, okay, and they just sort of like shuffle out of the room.
Yeah.
And the three of you sort of remain with Indigo, and Vern just sort of, like I said, these are private matters, and they're looking to the rest of the three of you. Autolycus just sort of like,
they are with me. They are they actually you may actually wish to speak with them as well. They were there for the events that I'm about to describe.
Events. Very interesting.
So let me so first question, are you aware of the leadership of ABERL-ARC? The sort of government situation there?
Yes, and he takes out a large tome from under the desk, sort of puts it on, opens it, and then sort of flicks through a bunch of pages and says, yes, it's, well, it's supposed to be, Island Death Row. The first.
Give me that name one more time.
Island Death Row.
Death Row?
Death Row.
Death Row. Well, that, I guess that's...
Island is A-I-S-L-I-N-N. Death Row is D-E-F-R-O-U.
Interesting. Well, I guess that's a good place to start. So, when we arrived in ABERL-ARC, that is not who was in charge. Ilyn Thorn had taken control of ABERL-ARC, and we had reason to believe. We had spoken to a source who informed us that he was not there, legally, that he had basically taken control of the town. We investigated this a bit further. We witnessed Ilyn Thorn sort of summoning, absorbing, blood into some sort of axe. It looked very sort of sinister. When we investigated this further, basically it seemed like there was quite a bit of tyranny going on in the town. My companions and I, we are the Bared Souls. We are traveling adventurers. We helped liberate the town. Ilyn Thorn attacked us in the process was clearly sort of corrupted by some sort of magical corruption. We were able to defeat him, and in the course of this, we learned that he was working for some entity called the Five of Hells. So that's what we know, basically. We are here to request that we. So we were under the understanding that what was out of character? What was Markroft's last name?
You don't know?
No one ever asked.
Fair enough. A gentleman named Markroft seems, as far as we're aware, seems to kind of be the rightful ruler of the town.
Markroft. And he sort of looks through the book.
First son of Island of Fro?
If that would make sense, I suppose.
Does Autolycus react to that question?
And sort of Autolycus is in so much so focused on not shitting himself that he seems to be like rendered useless right now. But Gurren just sort of like looks up through his brow. His glasses just sort of hanging on the edge of his nose. So is that the yes?
To be honest, I'm not intimately familiar with the sort of lineage involved here.
If I may,
yes.
Autolycus, you're doing great, buddy. Markroft is Island's son.
Yes, your prime ministership. Island, unfortunately, passed some time ago. Shortly after the Tens.
And Gurren just sort of
I just give him like a.
and Gurren just sort of Gurren just is like looking through his glasses still, and is just like,
Right. So we just wanted to kind of inform you of that whole situation. Markroft was back in power. We wanted to make sure everything was good with you as far as that goes. We were also Ilanthor was doing some sort of, we don't know exactly what he was doing, but it was clearly something magical, something involving his Five of Hells, doing something in the mines close to town. In the process of whatever he was doing, the mine collapsed, or the entrance to the mine collapsed. We would like to be able to get into there to investigate and find any clues as to what he was up to, and any assistance the Crown could provide, and that would be much appreciated.
make a persuasion check.
I'm gonna Tides of Chaos.
Okay.
Let's roll.
Sounds good.
Can I also just? Does he appear to be genuine throughout this in
Make an
terms of
insight check.
not
Good, 'cause I got a 5.
not hiding something?
Well, I got a 5 and a 6, so it doesn't help too much. But, so that comes out to 13.
16 insight.
This guy is very hard to read. His nonchalantness, his lackadaisicalness is not off-putting. Like, you welcome that. This is this is a nice change of pace, but like, it's so out of the norm of what you've experienced the past like couple of hours that you're like, what is this guy thinking or doing?
Like he's basically just listening and not reacting.
No, he barely reacts to any of this.
Okay.
He listens to you, Indigo, and he says, "Do you mind if I just double check to make sure that everything is
yes,
you know?"
We're gonna zone of truth or something.
Oh, no, please. Something a little bit more direct. Hold still, this Fontet. And he just sort of lifts up his quill and just sort of begins to mutter an incantation and like turn the quill over once or twice. And I would like you to make a, I believe it's a wisdom saving throw. Just give me a second.
For detect thoughts.
It is detect thoughts.
Yeah, wisdom save.
Wisdom, yeah.
This is not versus Charm.
This is not a charm spell, no.
Dirty 20.
You can also choose to allow it if you want.
Choose to have it fail.
It's up to you.
It's up to you. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'll choose to have it fail.
Sure. His eyes glow for a moment.
Can I Arcana with a spell? I guess do I know it's detect thoughts, or can I?
Well, you'll feel him start to like try to get deep.
If I can tell that it's detect thoughts, then yes, I will let him in.
Okay. Make a quick Arcana check to see if this is familiar. You've seen Cassandra cast it a couple
6.
times. 6.
Well, whatever. I'll let him do it.
Well, it's a little odd. It actually, I want to stick to what you said. So you don't really recognize what he's going to cast, and so you innately begin to resist. However, as you do that, you feel that you were just like on the cusp of resisting whatever he was beginning to cast against you, and you felt like a strong enough resistance to it just from your own will. And then there's this split moment where his eyes glow again, where you feel like this like lethargy. Make the roll a disadvantage.
Oh, just rolling. 14.
Yeah, you fail at this point. It's this like there was this split second to where you were like ready to resist this, and then you just feel this full on like, and he passes through.
Okay.
So, for the duration, you can read the thoughts of certain creatures. Blah 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 blah. You can focus your mind on any one creature. Yeah, blah blah blah. You initially learn the surface thoughts of the creature. What is most on its mind in that moment? So, if you'd like to relay that.
That's a good question. I guess, in terms of like, I guess Indigo's basically feeling this is a bit of an odd situation, but I'm going to take this on good faith for right now, and just, we have nothing to hide, so I'll tell him what happened.
Sure. And you've already made the check. The check is to probe deeper. You can sort of automatically detect thoughts, and you get the surface thoughts immediately. So he probes. You do feel him immediately probe deeper. It's almost like you feel him like detect your thoughts immediately, and then like it's almost like he didn't even give a fuck about that. It was just like immediately. And he begins to sort of fact check in your mind, and just sort of like goes through these things and try to sense whether or not like what you're saying is not a lie, but just factual to the point of him doing something about this. However, in addition to this, he gets an understanding of you that you may or may not be comfortable with. So I would like you, and you could text this to me if this is something that you don't necessarily care for the other players to know right now, but I would like you to let him know your current emotional state and something that looms large in your mind. So something that you constantly worry over, something that you really love, or something that you really hate.
Okay.
And he sort of strips this from you.
Okay. Emotional state is I kind of what I described, basically like a bit wary, but acting in willing to accept that the Prime Minister is acting in good faith for right now. But kind of like a little wary by the unusualness of the situation.
Sure.
Something I love or hate. To the extent that it's like a big part of my, I love wine, but that's what sort of thing you're looking for.
No, right? Something that is like intrinsic to your motivation as a person.
Gotcha. Wanting all of my friends to be happy.
Sure.
If that both fit what we're asking for.
He sort of finishes his probing into your story, and his eyes sort of cease, and he says, "Thank you very much. Well, this is a much different situation than I thought I would be presented. So kudos to you. How does 5,000 gold pieces sound to aid in this reconstruction?"
Autologous? Does that sound?
We would be most gracious for that, your ministership. And he just sort of like constantly like.
Wait, because we want it to be a relatively quick thing, because we don't know what sort of magical thing happened. Is there any way we could bump that up to maybe like 7,000?
Make a persuasion check.
Yeah. Wait, what is my persuasion? That's fine. 6.
6. Fun moment, and he takes out another larger tome and flips through it, and like seems to be going through like the ledgers of like monetary amounts and stuff like that. You're not necessarily sure what he's doing. He's flipping through things relatively quickly though, and he just sort of like marks some things and says, well, how about this? I will mark that we have the capacity to provide upwards of 7,000, and I will give you the 5,000 upfront. And if you run out or you come to a situation where you might need additional aid, you can request to borrow up to 7,000. But this 5 will be a grant on behalf of the king and the reconstruction effort.
Right, yeah. The fear is just that maybe he's done something that might have aftershocks, but that sounds great.
We will also send the proper experts to investigate the situation.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
If it is as you say, that this, what did you call him? 5 of Hells?
Yes.
Perhaps I will send one of Urias's right or left hands to go take a look at this. I know that young one was looking to get out of here.
Sorches.
Ah, yes.
Interesting.
Well, in addition to that, is there anything else that you've requested?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring this up. I do have a bit of a personal matter I would like to ask you about, if that's all right.
Make a persuasion check.
26.
26. This is sort of the first time that like he's shown any sort of like reaction beyond like, all right, like whatever you're saying, sure, like we'll get this, like, this is like a very like, I'm on the clock, like let's get this shit rolling. He just sort of, this is the first time that he even like cocks a single eyebrow, where he's just like, highly unusual. Go on.
Well, I was speaking with Palisar outside briefly, and he mentioned you might have some sort of familiarity with spontaneous arcana. Is that correct? It's something that I actually, as it happens, I seem to be affected by, or sort of an epicenter of, I guess would be the term.
Very interesting.
Yes, and I was just curious if what sort of, I mean, I know almost nothing at all about this, so I was curious if you had any knowledge about that, if you'd be willing to share.
You all see a level of amusement from this man that you frankly didn't think was possible from this person, where he finds this not only interesting, but like hilarious. Like he begins to I'm so sorry.
I start to
that was good.
I start to chuckle a little bit too, and I kind of like elbow him, like.
Atalek is just like.
What?
Forgive me. Are you not from Indigo? Yes. Are you not from around here?
I don't believe I am. So I, as you may have noticed, I am a satyr. I don't have a lot of. I seem to have lost a good deal of my memory, but from what I understand, my people do come from the Feywild.
Yes. Yes. That is certainly correct. It is a condition of traveling between realms, specifically from the Fey to the Prime Realm. Some may be stripped of their memories, or they might lose time, or they might gain time, or no time may have passed at all. The Fae and its thread between realms is very chaotic. Then of course you wouldn't know, but I coined the phrase spontaneous arcanum.
Oh.
It is one of the more pertinent bits of research that I used to do at the Academy. One of my previous students took up this study. He's now an inquisitor.
Ah, yes.
I believe we've met him.
We
Really?
yes, we have met. He actually referred to me as something as conduit kin. Is that something you are familiar with?
Very interesting. Well, you might do well for yourself to take a trip over to the Academy. Do you have any interest in
I'm interested in learning more about this. Are you able to tell me what does conduit kin mean?
You are, if he is correct in his hypothesis, what I have discovered as someone who is particularly, how do I put this? Effective. Your potential for eruption and the power behind it is much higher than someone who is afflicted with spontaneous arcanum. Extraordinarily rare.
Is this sort of condition associated with being Fey at all, or is this sort of am I just that special?
Well, that's a very good question. I would like to know the answer. Well, I highly encourage you to take a trip over to the Highwith Academy. I think you would learn quite a bit about yourself there.
Do a quick little insight as to how sinister his intentions are
Sure.
with this suggestion. That one.
He's been very amicable up until this point. By the book, if anything, or just like trying to like move things along quickly. He did take great interest in what you've just said, especially about yourself. I mean, he seems to be totally sincere about this.
Okay. Well then.
Do I feel the same way?
Make an insight check.
It's only a 13.
Yeah, he seems to be totally sincere about this.
Cool.
This is the first time you've seen him take any additional interest in what's going on. Then like, all right, let's get the shit done.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'll certainly take that under advisement.
Wonderful. You did say that you are an adventuring group, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Do stop by to speak to Minister Ogamrun.
Ogamrun?
Mm-hmm. You might have something to benefit him, I think. Especially with the information that you've presented here. I must commend you. You are a bit more hands-on than other roguish fellows that I've come into contact with.
Oh, you have no idea.
Well, I have to admit, this has been a wonderful little meeting. So, that being said, have a wonderful rest of your evening.
May I, if I may, ask you one quick thing? I noticed, of course, you were obviously very adept at Arcanum, and I'm a spellcaster myself, and you may have noticed, not from around here, and I can't help but feel a little bit kind of squelched by the sheer number of kind of social norms that I don't quite seem to understand yet. But in particular, it seems like every time I go to cast a spell, which probably like yourself is second nature to me, that everybody starts to kind of freak out like I'm going to blow up the place.
Wild Magician.
Oh,
Ooh, Savage Surge. Word.
Savage?
Yes.
Shit. Okay.
Nice.
I'm gonna fucking kill the Prime Minister. God.
The nearest person to you dies. Oh, fuck.
That's basically what happened with Avra.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if it's too crazy, this is. If anybody around has like level 9 counterspell, it might be this guy.
Yeah. Okay.
See what happens.
Kind of a thing.
210.
210.
Look at that.
What a number.
Imagine we feeble mind this fucking former.
That's so funny.
Fandom said, well, I guess we're toppling another government.
Okay, let me just make sure I'm getting this right. Oh, you have to re-roll. This is like an enhancement of
This is tied
like
to a
a
spell.
Yeah, this is tied to a spell casting, so you have to re-roll.
99. We have uncommon. I don't know if we had it for Savage or not.
Yeah.
We haven't rolled that many savages.
Re-roll. It's another
Like a combat one.
It's another combat one. Yeah.
157.
Oh, I'm waiting.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh man, that's funny. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you begin to feel. Yeah, you begin to feel a knot like in your stomach, like a really intense.
Do I have any time to react when this happens?
No, you don't.
Okay, fair enough.
And you do begin to feel like those bits of bluish arcanum just sort of spark a little around you, and Gvern just sort of like, oh, interesting,
Yeah,
and
here
just sort of
comes.
like, and you
I'm like, damn it, Indigo, I was
begin
talking.
to erupt. You cast you just the grease spell centered on you it just erupts out of you, and it just fucking just splatters all over the room. Okay, hold on. I need to like read how grease like fully works real quick, just to.
I was not expecting Grease to be in the Savage table.
I know. Which is why I started laughing. I was like, that's fucking hilarious. Okay, so slick grease covers the ground, and because this erupts out of you, and I'll say it's savage,
like a
it
huge
covers the area. Yeah. In a 10-foot, we'll say sphere, centered on a point, which is you. Which basically like paints
Coats
this
the
whole
room.
fucking room. It turns it into difficult terrain for the duration. When the grease appears, each creature standing in its area, so all of you, must succeed a dex saving throw or fall prone.
It's all fall.
Oh, I'm probably fine. Actually.
Vern is sitting, so he doesn't need to do this.
11.
What's my?
I got an 8.
You don't have to because it's emanating from you.
So yeah, I'm not greased. It's just like everything around.
Everything around you is grease. Yeah, so
24.
you fall prone. You do not. Autolycus falls prone. Immediately are splattered. It just fucking cakes Gvern's entire face and body. Except for the little space like around his eyes where he just removes his glasses, and it's just these like little white beady eyes. His super like dark black mustache now fully greased and covered, and he just sort of says, "Fascinating."
Yes, I'm terribly sorry. Would you like me to try to clean this up?
Oh no, don't. It's all right. I've handled.
No, I like this.
I've handled it myself. And he just sort of flicks his wrists, and just sort of like this very powerful and potent, essentially like mass precipitation of the room. Just sort of the grease is like dissipated from all around you. And it sort of is immediately sort of slacked off of himself as well. And it is like, it just like deteriorates. It's not like it's like a normal precipitation where it just like is cast off you. The grease itself is like destroyed like in the process, but it's a little unnerving, to be honest with you, that he so casually does this.
Yeah.
God, I wish I knew prestidigitation.
And he just sort of sits there and says, well, thank you so much for the
Sorry for the demonstration.
no, I loved it. It's been a while
This
since I've
always happens
seen.
at the most inopportune times.
Oh, it seems to be the case. As far as I've understood in my studies, the more you don't want it to happen, the more often it happens.
Interesting. Like not wanting to think about bugbears or whatever.
Yes, something
Say elephants,
like
I don't know
that.
if those are real in this world or not.
Bugbears is a very solid.
I don't know if I know what that is.
As I stand up, I'm like, yep, I'm thinking about bugbears.
It does happen.
Well.
I'm also thinking about bugbears.
Yes,
I am
me too.
thinking about
Well,
bugbears.
perhaps I should step out before I cause another mess. But it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Well, before you go, make
yes,
a persuasion check.
Okay.
Make it with advantage since he seemed to really like this whole
He
situation.
liked the grease.
Yeah.
This guy over here.
It's a 9.
Before you go, just take this with you. And he just sort of like reaches into the air and plucks out this little medallion. And he says, if you are within the city, the crown guard, they took a look at this. They look the other way, or they understand the situation. So here you go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Don't get too crazy.
Oh no, I'll keep it. I'll keep it sensible.
Wonderful. Right. Well.
Oh, the 5,000 gold.
Oh yes. That will be taken care of on your way out.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Do you think I just have 5,000 gold like laying around in my
I just
office?
had the medallion out of the air. I don't know.
Do you think I could pull 5,000 of those in one day?
I probably could.
All right, get out of here.
Make money.
Get out of here. You guys are crazy.
For a good day.
I love now that he's relaxed. He's just like,
He's
he's
super
just a
chill.
silly German now.
Yeah, he's just a silly German guy. Yeah. Oopsies.
I will say, Germans have this reputation of being like so serious, but I studied abroad in Germany, and they are fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah. That's why I like to play him like this. It's fun. And you guys are ushered out of the Prime Minister Gwern Rhiannon, arguably one of the strongest and most powerful arcane folk in the entire realm.
And we entertained him.
And you did. And we're going to end our session right
Perfect.
there for the time being. So you've been essentially granted a couple different boons, a good amount of money to help rebuild the city.
Which
And
we're of course going to embezzle and spend.
of course, yeah,
spend
you just
ourselves.
steal that, you kill Autolycus, you fuck off. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes total sense. And then you can retire forever. That won't happen, hopefully. I'm not going to cast a couple ideas, but anyway. So you've been encouraged to speak to the Minister of War, Medov Ogumrun, or rather, excuse me, the Captain of Arms is his title. And you've also sort of been encouraged to, if possible, meet with Minister Ulgas. So who knows what might happen next session. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to be here next Wednesday, same time, same place. And our lovely friend Hannah is going to be joining us once again. So I'm very excited to introduce her new character, which I actually have to talk to her to. We have to level her up. Because we originally made that character level 5, but you guys are level 6 now, so that's very exciting. Thank you everyone for joining us for episode 29. Shouts out to Tom fucking not Tom Brady. What is it? Tony Romo's biggest fan. And for fandom for doing a lot of participation here. That was a lot of fun. I don't know who redeemed the last Savage. Gary, you bastard! You bastard, man! I love it. He's an agent of chaos.
I'm like a dog chasing a car.
Whatever the fuck he says. Yeah, whatever. But thank you guys for being so active and for engaging and everything. It was such a good time. I know that the wild magic surges weren't as like flamboyant as they might have been.
They weren't.
But
Actually, that grease was perfect.
But the grease was perfect, and I'll tell you what, if that didn't happen, and Kill had rolled a 9 on the check for that, definitely wouldn't have gotten that. You wouldn't have gotten as much information and much chillness out of Gwern as you would have. So you guys really helped out in that interaction, which was awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So yeah, I'm just super excited for episode 30. It's fucking nuts,
Big
dude.
3-0.
Big
brother.
3-0, man. We've been doing this for a hot minute. I just looked at the YouTube channel and I saw that our upload of episode 1 was 8 months ago. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So we will see. Well, Matt and I will see you this Saturday at noon for the next episode of the podcast. I believe
Rogues?
I believe Rogues is next, unless the polls have been adjusted. If you guys continue to go vote. Girls kissing,
It's
yeah.
girl kissing rogue.
Rogues, yeah, of course. We'll talk about both of those, of course. But yes, so if you haven't been checking us out, Matt and I have been talking about the 5th edition classes and rating them based on our own personal systems. It's been a blast. So in the Discord, if you want to check that out, we have a voting poll going on, and rogues are in the lead by a couple votes, which is great. If you want us to talk about a different class, go vote for that. Or if you want us to just talk about rogues, really hammer that home, vote for that as well. And then in addition, we're going to have an episode of Reroll next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this channel. We're going to be talking about this past episode. I did, Mika and I did a sort of ARC retrospective recap, but we can also like open it up if you guys are going to be there, if you want to talk about some things that happened in the ARC too that I don't know if you thought of a new question or anything.
If I not work a Tuesday, I will.
Hell yeah, brother. Whichever works. But I will definitely see you next Tuesday. Nice. Sick. And hopefully Mika will be there and everything. But yeah, it'll be a good time. And then episode 30 next Wednesday. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you very soon. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Fuck yeah, dude.